playing the libero or sweeper role for Bayern Munich. He had to act as a more traditional centre-back for the national team, though. West Germany fell short, losing in the final to England, but you already know that. Despite revenge over England in the quarters 4 years later, a game in which Beckenbauer was keen to get stuck in, West Germany were knocked out by Italy in the semi-finals. At 25 years old, he had a bronze medal, a silver medal, and the gold was coming. In 1974, West Germany didn't lose a single game on their way to winning their first title. And to top it all off, it was on home soil. And this was the team they beat to it, their fierce, total footballing rivals, the Netherlands, a team fronted by Johan Cruyff. Beckenbauer shocked the world when in 1977, aged just 32, he retired from international football to go and play for the New York Cosmos. The world went mad, but when you're going to go and be teammates with this guy, I mean, yeah, fair. Beckenbauer did come back to the West Germany national team, but as a manager in 1986. His task, get through the World Cup without embarrassment. But they reached the final and only lost to Argentina and their iconic captain, who, let's be honest, at the time was unstoppable. Beckenbauer returned for one final World Cup at Italia 90, where he got his revenge. West Germany beat Argentina in the final, and Beckenbauer became, at the time, only the second man after Brazil's Mario Zagallo to win the World Cup both as player and manager. So across 5 World Cups as a player and manager, he got a bronze medal, 2 silvers, and lifted the cup twice. That smile tells you everything you need to know.
Good morning, this is the World Cup Weekend Breakfast Show. Happy Sunday morning, happy England Day. I'm your host, Max Scott. I've got former Chelsea and Republic of Ireland striker alongside me, Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
And Canada became the first co-host to exit the 2026 World Cup as they were well beaten by Morocco in Houston. Here's how that final nail in the coffin sounded on talkSPORT.
Brahim Diaz, he's got players to his left and right. Brahimi! There it is! To settle it!
We'll get into that Moroccan performance in a moment. I think they can put up a good fight against the French in the quarter-final. France had to find a new way of winning to keep their dream of retaining the World Cup alive, defeating a Paraguay side steeped in the dark arts.
Sorry, Mark, it's all going off again on the touchline. Again, the assistant referees are having to keep the Paraguayan subs back and have words with the coach.
Can anyone stop France from here? It's going to be tough, but I think it's doable. And as we build up to England's game against Mexico, the noise has been loud, but Thomas Tuchel says the squad haven't heard a thing.
Yes, we're not even aware that there was a possible change of kickoffs, and just this example just shows you to not lose your head. We cannot influence it.
A cool, calm, collected Thomas Tuchel there. Maybe the England boys have had those white noise machines on in their bedrooms. We'll be bringing you reaction from all last night's game, building up to what is possibly the biggest game in England's recent history. Huge show ahead. Send us a text on 81089 or on WhatsApp 03717 223344. Later in the show, we'll be taking your England calls as well. This is the World Cup Weekend Breakfast Show on talkSPORT. Here we go then, Cass. The juices are flowing. The main event today. What a pleasure it is to be in the seat. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm really good, Max. Long night last night. A lot of football on and enjoyed it. And I know we're going to start off probably talking about France because obviously playing Paraguay.
Dark arts, wasn't it? We're going to get into that. Can I just ask? I've been meaning to ask you. Did you get your deposit back on the table that you booked for 7 p.m?
No, but we've moved the table. We could move the table. So we're now going at 7, but we still got between 7 and 1, and we had 4.5 hours. So we're going to watch the Brazil game. Yeah. That's on first. So we'll watch that and then hopefully be able to hang around.
Okay.
Because obviously England are playing a bit later. But it's about 8.
So there's no guarantee you're going to keep your seat for the...
No, not at all, no. But I've asked my son to phone back.
Yeah.
Because he booked it all.
All right.
I wasn't originally going to go, but there was a spare ticket.
Well, if not, Cass, the breakfast team, the Monday to Friday breakfast team, we're at the Redwood. Right?
Oh, right, yeah.
I'm doing a watch-along. So if you don't get anywhere, just come to the Redwood.
There's 8 of us.
All right, well, we'll have to get on. Happy days. Right, let's talk about last night because it involved the tournament favourite France, and Cass has already alluded to it. Somehow, Paraguay's dark arts were incredible. Somehow, they've managed to get through the game without getting a yellow card. They got the winner thanks to a Kylian Mbappe penalty. And, of course, it was brought to you live on talkSPORT.
There is extraordinary hype over this France side, but beware the tournament's great underdogs. Paraguay. Dembele delivers Mbappe! Couldn't quite reach it with his head, right on the 6-yard line. Best chance of the game so far for France. There's a real confrontation going on here. Nearly every player from both sets of teams getting involved.
You just don't recognise France doing this, the panic, the sort of the way they've been flustered.
Gliding into the penalty area, terrific feat from Doué, and he goes down. It is a penalty kick for France. Mbappe stutters, right-footed, and scores! And you have to say, the team that have tried to play are the team who look like they're heading for the World Cup quarter-finals. It's all going off again on the touchline. Again, the assistant referees are having to keep the Paraguayan subs back and have words with the coach. That's it! And France are through to the quarter-finals of the World Cup. Paraguay 0, France 1.
It was a frustrating game for France, but they made it through. That decisive moment came with 20 minutes to go, just 20 minutes to go. Paraguay doing their job. But Diego Gomez took Desiree Doué down. Lovely feet in the box to win the penalty. Mbappe scored it. He's now one behind Messi in the all-time list of World Cup goal scorers, level with his World Cup tally this 2026 tournament. Cass, what did you make of it? Paraguay, all the tricks in the book.
Yeah, reminded me of France 98 when Paraguay played France and they won 1-0 France and they won it in extra time from Laurent Blanc, centre-half. So I'm looking at it thinking, they are the hardest, toughest side to play, as in they don't give you an inch. They'll do anything they can, whether it's sometimes feigning injury, whether it's, making a hostile atmosphere on the football pitch, where they clearly did. It says a lot about France as well. I thought they kept their heads. They didn't play well, but they weren't allowed to play well.
Yeah.
They were up against block after block after block and ended up getting a penalty through Doué that Mbappe scored with. I think this says a lot about France, that they can, if you need to, roll up your sleeves, battle away. And we didn't see any of the sort of flair that they're capable of. But this wasn't the game. I did Paraguay versus Germany. And Paraguay did exactly the same to Germany. And Germany had a goal disallowed that could have got them through. But they battled unbelievable. They are the sort of international version of a crazy gang of footballers, aren't they?
Well, that was most typified. That it probably took about 5 minutes for that penalty to be actually be put on the spot. There's about 6 or 7 Paraguay players. It was a clear penalty. The ref's trying to sort of herd them out the box. They're all having a pop at him. And as the referee is facing away from the goal, Paraguay defender Gustavo Velasquez is seen scuffing up the penalty spot. Now, this is another instance where obviously the ref didn't see it. Why can't the VAR say, look, cheeky beggar, he's just been scuffing up the penalty spot, give him a yellow card?
Yeah, I mean, you said it at the very start, Max. How did they not get a yellow card and France ended up having 3?
No. It's absolute madness.
How does that work out? No. Look, they are what they are, and they're out of the World Cup now, and I think France would be delighted to see the back of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've said it right, Cass, and I make you right. France rolled their sleeves up. They showed that they've got that fight and bottle in them to have a bit of a scrap and come through it. And that they've got that moment of brilliance. Desiree Doué in out of one player, out of another, and he wins a penalty. However, I do think the reaction's interesting. They didn't score from open play. They found it difficult to break down a side with a low block. All of the same criticisms that England have had. And I just think it shows that France are there to be got at, that they aren't invincible. Yes, they're on a different level to England right now in terms of their performances, but the reaction to England having an 0-0 draw with Ghana or not playing particularly well against Panama, France have demonstrated that everybody has a weakness, and on their day, if you can lock up a side like France, because yes, they won the penalty, yes, they scored it, but they didn't score from open play.
No, I don't think there's another team in the tournament, though, could have done what Paraguay did or are capable of doing it to that level. You know, Ghana did, as you mentioned, done a great job in stopping England and denying them space in all sorts of areas. Paraguay a bit more than that. They're in your face, and it's just a horrible team. You could tell as the game was panning out. It's just a horrible team to play against. And, you know, in football, sometimes you come up against teams like that. I've played not only club football, but international games where playing against that is really difficult. I mentioned, the guy I mentioned Egypt yesterday, a caller came on Egypt in 1990, we played, and they literally didn't want to come out their 18-yard box and literally stopping us everywhere. Yeah. We were an island team that actually were quite direct. Still found it hard to get anything past them, ended up 0-0. So I think you have to ignore games like that of how France will do, as in, we know France can be brilliant. Yeah, they can turn it on, and they've got 5 players who can literally rip you apart. And that is the danger for any side that even plays a little bit of a fair game, because you're going to have to dig really deep against France. They'll test you. And I thought it was a big, thumbs up to France and the way they've ended up coming for a game that was really difficult.
Yeah, I do think that you look at the refereeing performance in terms of not giving Paraguay a yellow card. If another team later in the tournament tried to mimic Paraguay, get in their face, be a bit dirty, I think they'd struggle to have 10 men on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's exactly the point. I'm not sure that they could survive, going through games and playing in that manner. And there's so much going on at times. Yeah. He was actually laughing, thinking, God, they are the literally do or die side.
Yeah. I say all that, Cass. However, it did make for a slightly more entertaining spectacle because the game wasn't being stopped all the time. Yeah, there was quite a lot of fouls and stuff, but I quite like the fact that some of the feigning.
Was it Kubas who was one of the worst? The central midfielder.
Yeah,
he was one of the worst, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's not fun to watch.
Feigning a lot of injuries all the time, and okay, they knew. Look, in Paraguay's defence, when you come up against a team of elite level, you can't let them do what they want. You basically got to be in their faces, stop them, make it as difficult. And Paraguay nearly got there.
Yeah. Well, the reason I stayed up, usually I'd try to get to bed with an early get up like this because the hope of the French losing just kept me up.
Well, that's what could knock you out of a tournament.
Of course it can.
Yeah, no, you could be out of a tournament going home. The French could have been going home today, but they didn't. They got through. Like I said, in 1998, they played exactly the same team, Paraguay, who made it incredibly difficult for France.
Yes. Well, look, France are through. They'll play Morocco in the quarter-final. An absolute belter of a fixture because Morocco beat Canada 3-0. Up next, we'll talk about that.
Wayne Rooney has just said that Thomas Tuchel should have brought Kyle Walker to this World Cup. That experience and the ability to play at right back rather than have to take Declan Rice out of midfield could have been useful.
I think a Kyle Walker and his pomp would drastically improve this team. I really do.
100%.
Stuart Pearce there and Adrian talking about Wayne Rooney's comments. Carl Walker's in the studio with us. Perfectly timed. What do you make of Wayne Rooney's comments there?
No, I think for Wayne to say that, it's flattering. I think a legend like that to say that about you, it obviously gives you a little bit of a pat on the back. But I still go back to the Trent scenario that, Trent is still out there and available, and I think maybe he should have got the nod.
The comments itself, you've retired from international football. I didn't know this, but you told us in the gallery back in April.
I think it was around about April, March.
You regret that a little bit?
No, I think I do regret it looking in hindsight now that there's a potential place for me in this World Cup.
Did you feel that place had gone now? That just wasn't going to happen again, that your England career had come to an end? Is that...
I look at it now and I think that obviously with Reece and Tino's recent injuries, maybe I could have got the shout. But when I had the conversation eventually with them at England, that was not an opportunity that I was going to get. Obviously not playing the couple of friendlies that they had prior to the tournament. I knew that from that moment on that they was taking that set of lads to the World Cup. So I kind of just rested on it on that.
Did you have a conversation with Thomas Tuchel?
Not until the day I was going to retire. I tried a couple of times and received nothing back. And on the day I was going to retire, he messaged me. Obviously, I'm going to keep that private because out of respect for the conversation that we had. And, I just decided that was the time and I felt it was right.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win. This summer, talkSPORT is bringing you live and official coverage of every game of the FIFA World Cup 2026. And to celebrate, we're giving away £26,000 guaranteed. Go to win.talksport.com to enter now, and you could win 26 grand in your hand, tax-free. Enter now, and you could be the next to get that winning feeling, courtesy of talkSPORT Win. Find out how to enter now at win.talksport.com.
Good morning, this is a World Cup weekend breakfast show. England are playing tonight or tomorrow morning. I'm Max Scott, I've got Tony Cascarino alongside me and you're listening to a little bit of Taylor Swift with a smash hit, Welcome to New York, as yesterday evening, New York crowned a legend. We were talking about the 4th of July celebrations yesterday, Cass, the hot dog eating contest, and Joey Chestnut gobbled his way to victory once again with 66 wieners. 66 little wieners after winning his record-extending 18th hot dog eating contest in a row. He said, eating here on the 4th of July is a dream. It's electric. There's no better place on earth. What a champion. 18 years in a row and he's had 66 little wieners.
You may say little wieners, little hot dogs.
Yeah.
Well, how little are we talking? You don't know?
Oh, normal hot dog size.
Yeah. That's ridiculous. Surely there must be, apart from not feeling great, but there must be some long-term
damage.
God.
Clogging up the arteries.
66.
I know. Bit weird. I mean, yeah, I hope he's thrown up. I hope he's been sick. Because I just got a text as we were coming on air during the news that my puppy, who's been perfect the last few days, 100% record potty training, he's got up really early, he's done his business on the sofa, and he's thrown up on the floor.
Oh, lovely.
And then he's gone outside and done his business again.
Look on the bright side. At home. You're not there.
Yeah,
someone else is doing it.
The missus is fuming with him. But look, on a positive note, we are getting you texts in 81089 on text 03717223344. Tony on the sunny Bognor Beach says, I'm quietly confident England will go through. Happy days, we like that. Jill says, Morning, Max and Tony. Positivity is the word for today. Mindset. We have the players, the atmosphere, and altitude is what it is. Let's show these Mexicans how good our football really is. We've got to do it. We're better than them on paper. Sod the altitude. Doesn't matter. We're going to do it. Anyway, let's talk about last night. We've gone through France and Paraguay, the dark arts in action. The French showed the sort of bottle to get through. But we're continuing reaction to last night as it was Canada, the first home nation to be eliminated from this year's World Cup. Morocco scored 3 times in the second half. Azzedine Ounahi's double and a Soufiane Rahimi late third goal sent them through for a quarter-final clash with the French.
He pulls it back to the edge of the area, running onto it. Ounahi tucks it away. Slid through to Brahim Diaz into the area right-hand side. Checks inside his defender, gives it to Rahimi, and Ounahi tucks it away. Brahim Diaz, he's got players to his left and right. Rahimi, there it is to settle it. Soufiane Rahimi sends Morocco through to the quarterfinals. And Canada's resistance at this World Cup is finally broken. It is game, set and match to the Africans. The Atlas Lions are through. Canada 0, Morocco 3.
Just in that first half, Morocco weren't their usual selves, but they still got the job done. They are a top side.
That was second best, all first half. Canada were terrific, didn't take their chances. I mean, if you'd have said, literally going into half-time, that Morocco would eventually win 3-0, you'd have said you were nuts. Canada were by far the better team. Orlando Hill, the goalkeeper, is a... Oh, sorry, not the Moroccan one. I'm going back to Paraguay. He's the Paraguay goalkeeper. But thinking that they go back in end up losing 3-0, that's just a testament to... Morocco, a dangerous team, Max. I said to you all along. Unari, now here's a story, right? Unari, of what he was done really well in 2022. He played at Angers in France. He got relegated, and then he moved on, and he was at Girona, and Girona have got relegated this year, right? And he looks like a world beater in midfield for them, and yet he's been playing lower division football.
Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, he scored 2 absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and you'd think, but Morocco, look, there's all this relationship with sort of players that play in France and like Algeria, Tunisian, Moroccan. There's so many of them that have come and done brilliantly well and have learnt their trade more so being in France because a lot of them have come through the systems. Yes, they end up playing for different countries, but they've always produced. And I've got to say, Morocco, back-to-back last 8. You know, they've done it. So sorry, last 16 and last 8.
Yep.
And last World Cup, 22.
Yeah.
So Moroccan, if you'd have said Moroccan football, where the level is now, going back to when I first started playing international football, Max,
yeah,
they're miles better.
Unbelievable. I mean, really good performance, particularly from Ounahi, who scored 2 really good goals. You think they're going to provide a real stiff test to France. That's a bit on Morocco. Let's get into the Canadian perspective now. I'm delighted to say joining us is Ipswich legend, former Canadian goalkeeper Craig Forrest. Good morning, Craig. How you doing?
Hi, Craig.
Good morning.
Yeah, Craig, I want to ask you straight out. I mean, if you'd have said, and I just said then, half-time, you know, and then you'd lose 3-0, especially the first half where Canada were by far the better team.
Yeah, it was something. I mean, obviously the scoreline was very flattering, of course, but, you know, as we know in international football or any football for that matter, when you're on top and you've got somebody on the ropes, you have to really capitalize on that. And you felt that at halftime that Morocco couldn't be much worse than they were in the first half, and they would respond, and they certainly did with their really first good look at goal. They managed to take a 1-0 lead, and then after that Canada were chasing and again had opportunities without really threatening, you know, and it's just that final third, that final pass, and it's been something that's been a trend I would say over the last year. Last summer we saw games against Tunisia which they drew and dominated, Ukraine, Cote d'Ivoire, even the Irish game before the World Cup. You could see that they probably should have won that game and they ended up drawing. It wasn't all that important, but it was something that's been problem for Canada. And that is just taking the opportunities when they have a team on their heels, and that just failed to do so. And I think some of the injury problems with this national team too. I mean, Bombito did quite well considering he hasn't had a lot of minutes. Cornelius has had his problems. Alistair Johnson as well. Alphonso Davies, obviously, that was disappointing that he couldn't get on the pitch because we really needed him the last half an hour, but apparently he wasn't feeling up to it and his hamstring wasn't feeling great. So he's taking some criticism here for that. And only he really knows the answers to, what the reasons were why he didn't come on for Canada.
Craig, talk to me about Jesse Marsch, because he's come under quite a lot of criticism in America for singing the Canadian national anthem proudly, passionately, for, his antics on the sideline, calling his players Canadian heroes. He's made history getting to a knockout stage. What's the sort of feeling about Jesse Marsch in Canada?
I mean, I'm down in Seattle right now and covering it for the host broadcasters. We'll be doing the U.S. game against Belgium, which will be very interesting, of course, and quite a lot of interest around this, the Pacific Northwest for that. But, I was in Canada for the Toronto games, all 5 of them, not the last one with Portugal and Croatia, which was an outstanding show for the city and for the country itself. Probably the biggest sporting event from an audience perspective probably ever in Canada. But the general feeling, I think, with Jesse Marsch is the fans like him. They know he might say some silly things at times, and he does a lot of talking, and he leaves himself out there. But I really don't understand all the criticism he gets. Certainly south of the border of Canada, there's some bitterness there, I think, on both sides. And nobody's perfect, but overall, he's done a really good job with this squad, and that's the end of that's basically the bottom line. They needed to have somebody that could inspire this group, and I think he did that very well. And unfortunately, it was just a little bit short against Morocco.
Do you think he's taken this Canada side as far as he can? Because I was saying to Cass yesterday, whenever I hear him talking outside of a press conference, it seems to me he's trying to sell himself to a Premier League side. And I know that might be a bit ambitious for him, given his Premier League career didn't go amazingly well. But do you think that he'll want to get back into club football after this?
That's a really good question. I think that he enjoys the international football. He lives, 90% of the time in Italy. He's got a beautiful spot there. He likes that European feel, and obviously he likes living in the Italian lifestyle. He's close to some of the international players, certainly playing in Europe, and you can go see them play. And I think that, it suits some people. Not to say that he wouldn't want to get back into club football, but he signed a new contract with Canada. He's happy here. And I really believe that that's the case, that he wants to have another crack with this team and hopefully win something even locally with the Gold Cup or some tournaments, and maybe even the Copa America again. Who knows? But I think that that's really what he wants to do. And I think he deserves another look.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say is next for sort of Canadian football? You've mentioned sort of different cups. I mean, getting to the last 32 is no mean feat for a side like Canada, with all of the competition available. What can Jesse Marsch look forward to as progression for this side?
I think a lot of it, we have some players coming through and some defenders. I think Luc de Fougerolles, I mean, he hasn't even played for Fulham. He's been at the club since he was a kid. I think at 20 years old, he really showed that he has that maturity already to perform at a very high level. But I think it's always been sort of a problem for Canada in the final third and trying to get a regular goal scorer that we thought that Jonathan David would be. And he didn't really perform at the level that we would hope he would. And I think he'd be fairly disappointed. Yeah, he got 3 goals against, a Qatar side that were down to 9 men and ranked, 57 in the world. I mean, the bottom line is we struggle against the better teams in the world. We beat 60 ranked South Africa and 57th ranked Qatar, and drew with 64 Bosnia. So the bottom line is, if you play teams in the top 20 or top 10, they fail to get past and over the goal line, and that's been our major problem. Developing players is going to be difficult for us. I think that hopefully the Canadian system will move on, and there'll be more support around grassroots and the U17, the U20 levels that are so important for getting ready for tournament football for national sides. And our budget is so far behind, like the United States, for example, who spend just absolutely millions into youth development and things like that, and they see their, just desserts for that. So hopefully it'll inspire the rest of maybe corporate Canada to help out and invest into Canada's football system, and we can build on that and hopefully create some players that can put the ball in the net eventually.
Absolutely. Craig, thank you so much for your time, mate.
Craig. All the best.
Cheers, fellas. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. That is Ipswich legend, former Canadian goalkeeper Craig Forrest. Right, up next, we're going to get some reaction live from Mexico. Remember, they take on England with a kickoff set for 1 a.m. Yes, 1 a.m. tomorrow morning. It's live on talkSPORT. You're listening to the World Cup Weekend Breakfast Show.
Tuchel won the Champions League with Chelsea on the back of not playing particularly attractive football, finding their way through games. So I don't think he really cares how England play as long as they win. And that's his mindset. And he will take the positive out of it. We won. We kept on going towards the end. Well, so you should. And with due respect to the Congolese, their game fell away as the game went on and they became stretched and tired. And for whatever reason, England were able to get themselves back in the game because of the excellence of Harry Kane. Poor goalkeeper on the first goal, which got us back in the game. Brilliant second goal. But you look at it, you go, Declan Rice is like a machine hitting dead balls in there. Look at the first 3 or 4 corners that he hit in. Bang, first man, bang, first man, bang, first man. All of a sudden he starts changing his corners to balloons across the box because he seems to have his confidence gone. You look at Rice and you look at Saka when they come on, they look knackered. They look like players that have been in a long season and haven't got it. And ironically for England, Declan looked better at right back than what we've got, and that might be a conundrum for Thomas Tuchel that he changes that. But I look across the field, Rashford, no end products. Madueke, no end products. You know, you look defensively, the goalkeeper doesn't worry me so much because goalkeepers make mistakes. That's what happens in games every now and again. And sometimes Pickford makes wonderful saves. But I look at it and say, that is not a team, in my mind, that has any chance of winning this World Cup when it comes up against serious opposition.
What makes this remarkable is how differently you two see it.
Well, I think if you're English, you're going to see it with emotion as well. And I don't have any emotion in this. Like the only person on the whole team that I played with and know is Harry Kane. I want him to do well, and he is doing well, and he's scoring loads of goals. But I don't want him to do well so much.
But Simon's assessment, it's not just emotional, Brad.
No, it's
kind of on the money, isn't it?
Well, his assessment is his assessment. It's his opinion, and he's right about a lot of
Do you not think there feels an awful lot more wrong than right about this England side?
No, see, that's where we're going to differ. I think defensively, and especially the right back, I think they're having a hard time.
Good morning, this is the World Cup Weekend Breakfast Show. You're listening on the radio, it's also live on your smart TV, on YouTube, on TikTok as well. I'm your host, Max Scott, alongside got former Republic of Ireland striker Tony Cascarino. Right, let's get into some England chat ahead of this huge game against the Mexicans. Tonight we'll see just how preparations have gone ahead of what's to be a historic game at the Azteca, the first one since that infamous Hand of God incident. And speaking ahead of the game, England boss Thomas Tuchel insisted the proposed change in kickoff time didn't affect his side.
And the confusion about the kickoff was a bit of a confusion, but I think only for me and for the officials. I'm not sure if the team was even aware. We kept it away from the players completely, and as soon as we landed. So it was a bit of a confusion in the last hour before we started, but as soon as we landed, everything was solved. It was a good moment to be in the air for 3.5 hours.
Thomas Tuchel saying it didn't cause too many problems for him and the team. I tell you what, it did for Tony Cascarino in his booking at the sports bar in London town. Anyway, let's speak to a man on the ground in Mexico. It's legendary journalist, broadcaster, talkSPORT host Henry Winter is with us. Morning, Henry.
Henry.
Hi, guys. How are we doing?
Yeah,
we're doing well. Talk to us. I mean, you're there on the streets in Mexico. What are the vibes like? Are the Mexican fans sort of causing havoc outside the team hotel?
Well, when you say I'm on the streets, I do actually have a room in Mexico City. I'm not wandering around quite on my own yet. There's some nice park benches around here. I mean, at the moment, I'm sort of out in the middle of town. It's just a brilliant, brilliant city. I've never been here before. And the anticipation of going to the Azteca tomorrow. Look, there's been a lot of talk, and Tony will have been through this with on club trips. I mean, they do have double glazing here. The players do have, earplugs and earplugs, and they won't have noticed anything like that. But it was interesting just listening to Tuchel there, and I was in the press conference earlier at the Azteca, when he said, well, the players didn't know anything about it. Well, they did, because we spoke to Morgan Rogers and Marcus Rashford pitchside. Faye was there and was asking them questions. Said, oh, by the way, the Mexicans are saying they're going to bring the game forward. And all the kids in the UK were saying, yippee, we'll be able to watch the game live. So, look, it's such a build-up to such an important game. But the most interesting thing is that you come to Mexico City, everywhere is football. It is football, football, football. And we've obviously been in the United States. And look, they love soccer there, but it's nothing like here. Wherever you go, down side streets, everyone's wearing green shirts.
Yeah.
And England are walking into one of the great iconic venues. But what I love about this generation of footballers, that they are actually cut off from a lot of the things that sort of obsess me about, the hand of God and Maradona, and maybe having one or two mariachi bands outside the hotel, which they probably can't hear. So, look, they're in a bubble, they're focused, and they'll be fine.
I was going to say, Henry, because there's a lot in the newspapers today about Maradona in 86 and Bobby Moore in 1970. And look, there's a lot of difference between that and where we are today, where, there wasn't water breaks back then. There wasn't the amount of substitutions you can make. So you can manage the game far better in today's game.
It's a really important point. It's something that Tuchel was making, because he said he noticed in training, we watched training earlier, and okay, we only get to see a slightly sanitized version of 15 minutes. They're not going full pelt. But he said that he found that for the first 10, 15 minutes of the training, that the players were actually feeling the altitude, and then they grew into it. And you've seen the way that Mexico start their games at the Azteca. They go absolutely full throttle. That's partly the adrenaline of the fans driving them on, but also because the altitude does affect the visiting teams, who then find their stride after about 15, 20 minutes. So to come back to your point, if they can get to, it's a horrible expression, the first quarter, they get through the first quarter, and I hope we ban that phrase in England when we resume again. So if they can get to 23, 24 minutes, he can then get them in. And actually the hydration, which we all know is for commercial reasons, actually might help England in this case. They can reset and go again, catch their breath and go again.
Henry, have you been one of the thousands of journalists that I've seen do that really unique thing and go on a run as if that somehow enlightens us about how these players are going to feel at the Azteca?
Yeah, because I feel when I go for a jog at my portly age of 63 with my marathon running days behind me and never having been a competitive sportsman, I really feel when I go out for a run like that, I can understand what Jude Bellingham's going to be going through in 24 hours' time.
Absolutely.
Absolutely no chance. The gap, it's like when I hear professional footballers say, well, they're good at golf, they could actually go and join the professional tour. It's such a huge leap. Footballers will understand that. These guys, they are elite athletes. You look at Declan Rice, for example, he's absolutely pared down. There's not an ounce of fat on him. So there's nothing in common between me and Declan Rice apart from a passport and, growing up in London. So, no, I haven't been going for a run. I've been going for long walks and getting slightly out of breath, but not comparing myself with any of the footballers who are going to be stepping out. Look, these are elite athletes. Yeah. They're focused, and I think they'll be fine. But the first 10 minutes will be a bit of a storm.
Yeah. Look, Emery, me and Max were talking yesterday about, I thought, and Max did as well, that there was a bit of an overreaction, to the DR Congo game, which obviously it didn't. It wasn't the perfect performance, but I did think the importance of just going back to the last 20, 25 minutes of the England performance, where substitutes came on, the play got a bit faster, and of course the incredible finishing of Harry Kane.
Well, the good thing is they don't panic, and I think that's a credit to Gareth Southgate and the culture that he brought up. I think there's less fear around the England team. I think that they leave all the things like, the fans going to be keeping them awake at night, penalties, all those issues which have been all about sort of fear and have inhibited England in the past. I don't think there is that element. I mean, you would hope that just before they go out, first they're playing at the Azteca. I mean, Tony, you played at some of these great grounds. The Azteca's in the top 5 of grounds. I mean, me as a journalist, I've been writing about football for 40 years. I've never been to the Azteca. I'm excited to go there. And my biggest exertion is going to be opening my laptop. And, they are going out there to perform on this stage in front of, 70,000, incredibly passionate Mexicans and 8,000 incredibly noisy Englishmen. What a stage to play on. That is a life moment. So I think they will see that. I think they'll also look around the dressing room and see Jude Bellingham, world class. They'll see Harry Kane, as you say, those amazing goals, classic Kane goals, the head of the movement then for the finish, but also a leader who goes, not on my watch. Yes. We are not losing. And he sets the tone. He's quite a calm, composed. He's not really a shouty leader. And I think that rather sets the tone.
Henry.
But they should be worried about the defence. I mean, I take your point about the reaction to DR Congo. But first, this is England. We react if England don't win a corner. It's because it's so important, because England fans have waited so long. They spent a lot of money to come out here talking to England fans in the streets. It's cost them absolute fortunes to get to the United States and then down to Mexico City as well. So, yeah, absolutely. It's very important. And the fact that England underperformed against DR Congo was bad and actually deserved the criticism, particularly the defence and the right side of the defence.
Henry, Thomas Tuchel has promised us, and I kind of believe him, that England will be better against better opponents. I mean, it's really simple. When the other team are playing and that there's more space for our top class players to perform, are you confident that tonight or 1 a.m. in UK time is the time that happens?
Yeah, it must be the first time that England are actually playing on a day when the fans back home are watching it on a different day. That's completely sort of scrambled my mind, because we're obviously playing on Sunday evening. You're watching it on Monday morning. I mean, I just think that they just have to go out there and cut all that stuff away, because they must look around the dressing room and realise that, you know, there are good players there. They have got a very good manager in Thomas Tuchel, who, by the way, in his press conference earlier, you've been playing clips from it, was so enthused. He was excited to be there. For too long, we've seen the England national team be inhibited on the big stage. But coming back to your point, I mean, Mexico aren't 10th in the world. They're a decent team. Obviously, you know, they don't necessarily have the stars of the English team. But to your point, I mean, I've seen England struggle against the elite teams who supposedly gave them a little bit more space, and they go out in style and they play well, and everyone says, oh, you know, it's plucky failure. We've been through that. You know, Saint Etienne. I mean, it's happened on many an occasion. But then you can spin it another way, is that they won't play with a low block and England will be able to get at them. Look, England, if they perform, have got fantastic individuals, but they've got to perform. And that defence has got to raise its game, because their concentration, their positioning has not been good enough. And Tuchel's been partly responsible for that with his slightly weird selections of injury-prone fullbacks.
Yes, you've hit the nail on the head. But you've also set the scene wonderfully, Henry. You've got my juices flowing for this game. I'm feeling confident. So thank you so much for joining us. It's been brilliant.
Cheers,
my pleasure.
Henry.
I'll go back to my park bench.
Yeah, put that hood up and, you know, snuggle down for the evening.
Cheers, guys. See ya.
That is Henry Winter, legendary journalist, talkSPORT host. Brilliant, really setting the scene for what is going to be an absolute spectacle at one of the great stadiums in world football. You're listening to the World Cup Weekend Breakfast on talkSPORT. Stay with us.
I speak for Newcastle fans, for Villa fans, for a lot of fans whose clubs can't spend money right. Spurs have finished 17th 2 seasons in a row, right? And then teams like Aston Villa, who have just won the Europa League, are getting fined £19 million and can't spend any money. It's a joke.
They're obviously spending.
I don't care.
Oh,
it's a joke. Your team as well, Manchester United. Spend whenever you want. The rules are a joke. Just what's the point, mate? What's the point? The rules are terrible, though, Andy. Come on, mate. Be real now. It's that bias, mate. It's that so-called top six bias. Clubs like Aston Villa and Newcastle can't buy anyone. But Spurs finished 17th 2 seasons in a row and then go and spend. What's next? Who's going to go and get next?
Just mad. Listen, I don't think he quite understands what FFP stands for, because he's used Man United as an example. One of the biggest clubs in the world.
No, but I think he has got a point.
Yeah,
I think he has got a point about the fact that, and I feel for Newcastle and Villa fans, because they've got one hand tied behind their back.
Yeah.
And if they can't spend the money they've got. And now he's right. Villa are getting fined.
What did they get fined? 90 mil?
It was a lot.
Yeah. But it's one of them where... But the only way that obviously the club can grow is they have to get in the Champions League every single season. Now, with Newcastle and Eddie Howe, I feel for him, because what's he supposed to do? You look at the recruitment they've had over the last few seasons where he's bought players for less and sold them for a profit. And then all these best players, Tonali's now going to leave, Bruno Guimaraes is now...
Elliot Anderson's the one.
Yeah, but I think back then they didn't quite know that he was going to turn.
But they had to sell him.
Yeah, because of the financial fair play.
Right, they had to sell him. Not they wanted to.
Isak, gone.
And you know they haven't even got a sell-on clause as well.
I feel, Eddie Howe, the job he's done at Newcastle, I think has been phenomenal. But what is he supposed to do from now? What is he supposed to do? You lose Isak, you get Voltemade.
I don't know.
There's levels.
I don't know, mate. But Spurs feel as though they might be a bit of a problem next season because they're spending money and they're packing out the midfield, Cole.
No, it's good. I think I said recently on the show that if Tottenham boosted that, that spine, I think there'll be something to definitely watch next season. I think it's obviously good for my old club to be going in this direction, and hopefully they can.
Good morning. How you doing? Thanks so much for joining us on the World Cup Weekend Breakfast Show. I'm Max Scott. I've got former Marseille striker Tony Cascarino alongside me, and we're building up and reacting to a huge summit of sport, a huge night of sport for England. Here's what's coming up on talkSPORT today. From 10 a.m, it's the warm-up with Max Rushton and Charlie Baker. Then you got the World Cup Weekender with Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy from 1 p.m. talkSPORT Drive have landed in the USA. Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent. We've got some huge guests from 4 p.m. Then 2 World Cup games to bring you with live comms of the last 16. Natalie Sawyer presents Brazil-Norway from 7 p.m. And then the Go Adrian Durham with the big one, Mexico versus England. Coverage from 11 p.m. Kickoff at 1 a.m. Unless there's some thunderstorms, but we'll wait on that one. Be sure to keep it talkSPORT so you never miss a thing this summer. Right, let's delve into the back pages this morning. Here comes producer Oscar. Love it. How you doing, Oscar, mate? What you got for us?
Good morning, Max. Good morning, Cass. A couple of brilliant stories, obviously, looking ahead to the Mexico game tomorrow. Let's kick it off with Roof Tyler by Russell Lanning in the Sun. Obviously, the iconic commentator Martin Tyler has been, is in one of the pieces this morning. Now, Martin was looking back at 1986. He was there when Diego Maradona did that moment of one of probably the most iconic moment in World Cup history, I'd say, and then scored, in my opinion, one of the greatest goals of all time, that mazy dribble run, just going right through the England team. It was an extraordinary moment, and Tyler was talking about how he saw it from the gantry where he was positioned. But England boss Thomas Tuchel has also been talking about it. He caught up with talkSPORT's Faye Carruthers, and he recalled his memory of that iconic moment.
I remember the goal, of course. It was an iconic goal as well, and in the same match, Maradona scored another one, where he did it all on himself for 60 meters and dribbled around the goalkeeper and scored. So it was basically his World Cup. So I remember all that, and I remember sitting in front of the TV, and being here now feels a bit surreal. But like I said, it's iconic moment, and being part of it is very special.
So, gents, what I wanted to ask you really is the Azteca, one of the most iconic stadiums in world football. Obviously, England got such a daunting trip. The atmosphere is going to be electric. It's going to be a cacophony of noise. Cass, I wanted to say to you firstly, do you think that it is a shame that the final's not being hosted there? I was in New York. I was at the MetLife for the England-Panama game, and I made that pilgrimage to the stadium, which, by the way, is a bit of a pain to get there. You have to take a few trains. And the stadium in itself is, a lot of American fans, I spoke to a few American fans out there, and they said hasn't got a lot of atmosphere. Even I spoke to New York fans who are fans of the Giants, who have been to the stadium. It's kind of, doesn't quite have that feel, whereas the Azteca really, really does. Do you think it's a shame that the final isn't being played there?
I don't think it was ever going to be anywhere else but New York, because I think it's the American way that they want to host the final.
Yeah, they'll
in America.
have the final say, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be, you can't imagine Infantino and Trump having a conversation and him going,
you can have the semi in Atlanta.
Yeah, it's never going to be that. It was going to always be New York. And I've never been to the MetLife, but I've heard a lot of criticism of it. But unfortunately, that's what happens.
Yeah.
It's
a shame, but
it is a shame.
Yeah, you'd want it to be. I mean, Seattle's a lovely stadium, isn't it? As well, you could argue that in Seattle that could.
But for the footballing sort of purists,
yes,
it should be at the Azteca.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a really valid point, and it's had a lot of improvements over the years. The Azteca.
Absolutely. And the next story I wanted to touch on is all about Thomas Tuchel, obviously, in his preparation for the World Cup. He's bought into this US military theory. This is a piece done by Charlie Wyatt. So one of the US terminology, it's VUCA, which stands for volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous, which is the definition of England's preparation since they have touched down.
Ambiguous, that says it all, really, doesn't it?
Big time. And one of the things that they've been talking about, I mean, so much to digest there, but the biggest things is the injury concerns that we've had with Liverpool and Reece James. Then we've had the bizarre kickoff times where FIFA said we're going to change it. Then they've reverted back to their original decisions. Then there's obviously the worry about the Mexican fans. Are the England fans going to need sleep? Morgan Rogers saying that we're going to need earplugs to kind of deal with the noise and make sure we're fully focused. But I wanted to ask you boys.
I'm lost there. England fans are going to need sleep.
Well, so the England players, I mean, the England boys.
Players, yeah.
They got it
ready. Because the first night at altitude is meant to be a dreadful night's sleep. I think Tom Tuchel even said he had a really poor night's sleep. So all these things play into it, right?
100%. But I think the biggest concern, obviously, that's an amalgamation of a lot of disruption, a lot of disorder. Is there a worry that is really going to hurt the team come tomorrow?
No, me and Max just had the conversation with Emery that it's way different from years gone by. It's way more improved, and it's more advantageous to, a European team that can go into these conditions and be much better prepared. So is it a problem? Yeah, I think it's a far smaller problem than it was years gone by.
Yeah, and I think, yes, absolutely. Henry got it absolutely bang on. These players' focus shouldn't be on the lack of sleep or the lack of oxygen. It should be the opportunity to go into their backyard, a historic stadium where they've only lost 2 of their last 89 competitive matches, and go and beat them and go and really make a statement and make the nation believe again, like they did after that Croatia game, but in a knockout round. I think that will be their mentality, because throughout this team, yes, there's defensive frailties, but it's littered with top-class talent. It's littered with absolute winners, golden balls like Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham. And I just think they're going to drag up the standard and be well up for it and not be inhibited by the fear and the ghosts of Diego Maradona and any other World Cup failures. That's my mentality for this team going into it.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, Tuchel spoke about it. He said it's important that England need to banish those demons of 40 years ago with the Maradona incident. But speaking of Harry Kane, just the final piece I wanted to touch on is by Tom Barkley, Harriets of Fire. He's spoken just about Harry Kane's brilliance in this tournament. Obviously, he's already scored 5 goals. 75 goals in 67 games for Harry Kane. He's celebrating his 33rd birthday this month. He's averaging a goal every 70 minutes. He's been speaking to the press. He says it's the best that he's ever felt in his career. And one of the most incredible stats that I've seen, he's covered the most distance of any England player this tournament, which I think is extraordinary for a striker, just showing his work rate off the ball. He's not just great going forward, but what he's doing defensively is absolutely brilliant. Obviously, we've seen Kane was the main man. He got those 2 goals. We were all in despair against the Congo. But obviously, at the Azteca tomorrow night, it's going to be a different story with those fans. And obviously, I feel England need to try and survive the first 25 minutes. Is this the ultimate test where England need a little bit of Harry Kane magic to get over the line?
England have been really reliant on Kane, haven't they? He's done brilliantly, and Bellingham. And do you know what? It might be somebody else.
Yeah.
It just might be. If you look at championships or Premier Leagues that have been won, international games, sometimes it can be the guy that no one's talking about.
Yeah.
Someone else might step up.
But then if Harry Kane does step up, no one's going to be surprised with the.
Well, you don't want anyone better in front of goal, do you?
Yeah, no, he's been absolutely unbelievable. But it'd be nice to spread the goals a bit. It'd be nice to spread the load. Oscar, mate, thank you so much for bringing us the best of the back pages. You're listening to the World Cup Weekend Breakfast Show. We're going to chat more England and what we can expect from the rest of the knockout stages.
The Triunda match ball, Martin, the Adidas match ball, made for this year's World Cup, was made specifically for moments like this, because it has a microchip in it that can detect when the ball has been touched. Now, that's hard if you're Croatian.
Of course it is.
But the decision's right.
Yeah, we have to trust the technology. You know, the naked eye, though, might be telling you something else. It's very difficult to see any kind of touch on that. And this game, Jim, was giving everything. If you just sat and watched this game, amazing. One of the best games I've seen. I think Croatia, unrecognisable. Portugal don't look like they're going to go through, by the way, against Spain. They're just not going to happen now. But at the end of the day, I thought they were unlucky. But we trust the technology, but they were desperately painful to see that happen. We're surrounded by Croatian fans in the hotel that I was in last night, and they were consulate when it went against them, they were just gutted everywhere.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel fair, but obviously we trust the technology, and that's it.
Well, that's it, man. I mean, Simon, a lot of people will say, and they are saying it here, surely it goes against the spirit of the game. The spirit of the game. It was the faintest of touches. The sensor picks it up. The snakeometer's onto it. No goal.
Depends what you want, doesn't it? I mean, what is the spirit of the game? Is the spirit of the game simulation and diving and all kinds of things? Is that the spirit of the game? Is it constant griping and whining about referees' decisions? Is that the spirit of the game? I mean, I know that people say now because they're entrenched in a position, and I think that people should always be prepared to change their mind when the information changes. When people have made their mind up, they've decided that VAR is not what they wanted, despite years and years and years of endless complaints about mistakes.
Just because you're a football legend doesn't mean you totally light up the World Cup. These guys are just three who prove that. The struggles of some great names makes the record of Miroslav Klose even more impressive. It was in 2002 in Japan and South Korea that a 24-year-old Klose put the world on notice. At his first World Cup, he scored a hat-trick in Germany's opener against Saudi Arabia. He scored another 2 at the tournament and, well, what do you notice? Yep, 5 headed goals. The only time someone's done that in World Cup history. Germany lost in the final, but Klose had certainly raised some eyebrows. Klose scored another 5 goals and won the Golden Boot in 2006, although Germany lost in the semi-finals at their home World Cup. Totes emotion die Fans. By 2010, Klose was playing for Bayern Munich, where they'd clearly instilled an I'm not scared of anything attitude. African and English safaris look a bit different, don't they? Brilliant. Anyway, Klose returned from his excursion, got a goal against England and was on the score sheet in the quarter-final against Argentina before Germany were undone by a pack of hungry Spaniards. 4 years later, Klose was 36, but he was picked for one last World Cup, much to the German public's frustration. He hadn't had a stellar season for Lazio, but Germany didn't have many out-and-out strikers at the time. Klose, though, delivered again. He scored in the groups, and then in the semi-final, he had his record-breaking moment. Klose got Germany second in that incredible 7-1 victory over Brazil, his 16th, a new World Cup record. In fact, to really twist the knife, he snatched it from R9 in front of the Brazilian fans. Klose started the final, and his replacement, Mario Götze, well, you know what happened in extra time. And with that, Klose called it quits, taking with him the record for the most goals in tournament history and the most match wins in tournament history, as well as 2 bronze medals, a runners-up medal, and that winner's medal. The dream of every single World Cup footballer he fulfilled.
Good morning, this is the World Cup Weekend Breakfast Show live on talkSPORT, on your radio, on your smart TV. We're absolutely everywhere. I'm Max Scott, and with me is the former Chelsea and Celtic striker Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
And this morning, Canada, or last night, Canada became the first co-host to exit the World Cup as they were well beaten by Morocco in Houston. Here's how that final nail in the coffin sounded on talkSPORT.
Brahim Diaz, he's got players to his left and right. Brahimi! There it is to settle it.
Morocco set up a quarter-final tie against France after Mbappe put away his penalty in a game full of the dark arts from Paraguay.
Mbappe stutters right-footed and scores! Gill goes the wrong way! The red and white wall is finally breached!
And as we build up to England's game against Mexico, so much has been made about their fans giving it the big and outside the England hotel. Well, Thomas Tuchel says they can't hear a thing.
Players were not even aware that there was a possible change of kickoffs, and just this example just shows you to not lose your head. We cannot influence it.
A massive night, a massive morning ahead for this England football team. Toughest task yet. Get in touch. How are you feeling ahead of the game? What do you want to see from Thomas Tuchel in terms of squad selection? Text us on 81089. Where are you? Where are you going to be watching from? Or you can WhatsApp us 03717223344. It's the World Cup Weekend Breakfast Show on talkSPORT. We got loads to look forward to in the last 16 of this World Cup. We spoke some US men's national team yesterday, and we'll get more from inside the camp shortly. But we shouldn't forget that we are also in a transfer window. Still loads of teams making moves to give themselves the best chance next season. I'm delighted to say, joining us, one of the hardest workers in the business right now is talkSPORT's US MNT and transfer correspondent Ben Jacobs. He's with us live from the States. Good morning, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Good morning or good evening, of course, here in Seattle as we build up to USA against Belgium.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how are you embracing the US life? We've seen you chucking fish around in markets. You've been getting stuck in. You've had Mauricio Pochettino photo bomb you during a piece to camera. What is life good in America?
Yeah, it was quite a classy touch by Mauricio Pochettino, walking down the line of media and wishing everyone a happy 4th of July. It's still the 4th of July here, by the way, because it's just after 11 o'clock local time. So if you suddenly hear fireworks going off in the next kind of 50 minutes or so, it's because just around the corner from me, there's a big waterfront and a park where the fireworks show will begin. And I believe the main event is actually midnight into July the 5th. And the US men's national team have been here once in Seattle. They beat Australia by 2-0, and it was notable to me that the atmosphere, the feeling of a home World Cup, the way in which football permeated not just in the 90 minutes but pre-match in terms of the march down to the stadium, post-match people still walking around in US men's national team shirts, and the general vibe much more like we're accustomed to in Europe, especially compared to LA, where of course people are excited about a home World Cup, but it's a bigger city, there's multiple sports going on. Here is football or soccer mad, and the USA are going to have a bigger advantage here than in most parts of America, I would argue. And Mauricio Pochettino knows that if his side beat Belgium, this is basically the definition pre-tournament of a successful World Cup, because if you'd have offered the US men's national team back-to-back knockout stage wins, having not won a World Cup knockout stage game in 24 years, and then a place in the quarterfinals and beating a team like Belgium, who they lost to 5-2 in March, add all of that up, and Mauricio Pochettino and the players can be very proud. But of course, if they lose to Belgium and if they're outclassed to Belgium, suddenly you think they beat Paraguay, albeit a team that knocked out Germany. They beat Australia, who were poor in that game. They lost to Turkey. And they also beat a very poor and defensive-minded Bosnia team. So this is a chance to make a statement. And if they get past this game, then suddenly, who knows how far they could go.
Ben, a lot happening there. A lot happening here. We got transfers, and that's why we got you on. Tell us the Granit Xhaka latest, because it seems to have gone hot and cold, and a lot of uncertainty of what's happening around that deal.
Yeah, so Chelsea made a bid of £8 million for Granit Xhaka. It was seen as derisory by Sunderland. It was rejected out of hand. And Sunderland's stance is really clear that the player is not for sale. And Chelsea have been banking on the fact that Xhaka pulls out a tactic like he did when he actually moved from Leverkusen to Sunderland, because back then the Leverkusen hierarchy had come out and said the player's not for sale at any price. But Xhaka pushed. This time around, Chelsea have had some initial encouragement, but now it seems that Xhaka has communicated to Sunderland he's happy to stay and he's got European football. And Sunderland's position throughout, even though Chelsea have been engaged in talks club to club and with the player, is they won't sell for any price. And as it stands, Chelsea have not made any further progress. So Sunderland's stance now is that Xhaka is going to stay, and Sunderland have informed Chelsea of that position. And as a consequence, maybe any further Chelsea bids, if they choose to proceed, will end up being redundant. So it's all quiet. The deal is off for now. Let's see whether we get a twist when Xhaka returns from the World Cup. But again, Sunderland believe that he's staying period. The saga is over and the player is not for sale at any price.
If what Ben said sort of maintains, and Xhaka, he's, as we've just heard, he's told Sunderland, I'm going to stay, I've got European football. If that stays, I think fair play to him. Because he's become so important for Sunderland.
Absolutely, Max. I think it's a really valid point. And we don't see too much loyalty, do we?
Yeah.
We always accuse players of getting their heads turned and, the grass is greener and they go.
Yeah.
If he stayed at Sunderland, it showed how much loyalty he's shown to that football.
Absolutely. And as you say, Ben, we don't know what's going to happen when he comes back from the World Cup. We'll, of course, keep our eyes on that one. Can you give us the latest with Arsenal? We understand that, Trossard has got a move in the pipeline to Turkey, and, of course, Morgan Rogers, Aston Villa say worth £130 million is also on their radar.
Yeah, and you can understand why a club like Aston Villa would look at 160 million for Elliot Anderson. But even I would argue Anthony Gordon to Barcelona at 70 million with far less on his contract than Morgan Rogers. And we are in an inflated market. And then you add the 130 million euros price tag for Yan Diomande, even though that's not done yet with PSG. And we don't know if they're going to go that high. And this early in the window, Villa are really digging in. And yet those close to Morgan Rogers believed when he signed a new contract last year, which only added 1 year to an already long-term contract, their feeling was that 80 million or more might be enough to create an engagement. But now we're in an inflated market. Villa have got Champions League football. They do still need a big sale, but there is some money coming in. And as a consequence, as we enter for most clubs into the new financial year, even though some can choose to close the last financial year at the end of July, Villa may feel in a tougher negotiation position than perhaps when Rodgers signed that new deal. And now it's for Arsenal to determine, is that the grandstanding price or the actual price? And if it's the actual price, they might look at some other targets, including Bradley Barcola, Junior Krupi, even Julian Alvarez, despite the fact that the player wants Barcelona there. But make no mistake, Morgan Rogers is the top target as far as Arsenal are concerned in that position. And I expect Arsenal to bid. Chelsea are interested. Manchester United have looked. He's even been on PSG's radar, but they're focusing on Magnus Akliush and Yan Diomande. And then with Leandro Trossard, Besiktas have an agreement in principle with Arsenal for 18 million euros and a further 2 million in add-ons. And now they're sending a delegation right here to Seattle to talk personal terms with Trossard. The money is very good in Turkey, but Trossard hasn't finalised those personal terms or given an answer yet. And Besiktas are hoping that whether Belgium go through or go out, they can wrap up this deal in the United States of America. And yet those close to Trossard say he might want to wait either way until after the World Cup. So Besiktas are confident. They've got the fee sorted with Arsenal, but now they have to finalise personal terms with the player. And if he goes, that opens the door, the squad space, the wage space for Arsenal to then look for that starting left-sided winger or attacker.
I've got to ask you on this one because I saw Aidan Hackney play a good few times last year for Borough. Thought he was terrific, probably one of the best midfielders in. Had a lot of injuries towards the end of the season for Borough. They certainly missed him about getting to the promotion with Borough. And look, Everton been busy with that deal, so a really good signing, I think, for David Moyes.
Yeah, that one is a done deal. It's a total package of 25 million, although that is including the add-ons. And Everton have also, as of last night, agreed a deal with Chelsea to sign Tyreek George permanently as well. George, you may remember, was on loan with Everton. There was a £25 million option to buy. Everton tried to shave a bit off that and succeeded. The final fee there, according to my information, is £18 million fixed, and a further 6 million in add-ons, and then there is a 50% sell-on clause, 1.5 that is, for Chelsea. So if Tyreek George continues this development and does well for Everton and was to get another move, then Chelsea might feel they can go above that original 25 million option to buy if you include the sell-on. So Hayden Hackney and Tyreek George both joining Everton, and my understanding is they will still look at the market for potential central midfielders and fullbacks as well before the window shuts.
Ben, I've got a text here from Roger from Mansfield. He says he's a Liverpool fan. He wants them to buy that young 17-year-old Mexican player, Gilberto Mora, who, of course, has been hitting the headlines, looks like a wonderful young talent. Have you heard anything about him? Because he's been performing so well, obviously, on the world stage.
Yeah, he has. Obviously, Liverpool's perspective with all of these kind of deals is they don't make impulsive decisions off the World Cup. So if they move in that direction, is basically because they were scouting the player long before they announced themselves on the world stage. At the moment, my information is that Liverpool have scouted more like many top European clubs. We'll have to wait and see how that develops, but there's no bid or anything advanced at this stage. But he's certainly a player that Liverpool and Bayern Munich and Manchester City and actually Leeds United as well over the course of the last 12 to 18 months have been keeping a very close eye on. But Liverpool's priority is to replace Mo Salah. So Victor Munoz has come in and now they want to add another attacker. And if PSG succeed with Yan Diomande, and he's already agreed a 5-year contract with PSG, but if they get a club-to-club deal with Leipzig, and or if Magnus Akliouche also arrives, because PSG want to try and get both players, suddenly Bradley Barcola and Liverpool could develop, and Arsenal have looked at the player as well. So PSG, if you ask them today, will say not for sale. But if you ask them tomorrow and Akliouche and or Diomande arrive, suddenly maybe a different scenario, especially in light of the fact that it's an impasse in contract talks between Barcola and PSG. So the position of PSG today on Barcola versus towards the end of the window may change, and Liverpool could be there. But there's other players as well. Matthias Fernandez Pardo, Syed Al-Mala, Yankuba Minter, all profiles that Liverpool have looked at. And keep an eye on central midfield as well, because that might be another area where Liverpool choose to strengthen.
Ben, thank you so much for your time and giving us the rundown on all the latest USA and transfers. We'll speak to you soon, mate.
Cheers, Ben. Bye-bye.
Great stuff from Ben Jacobs, our transfer correspondent out there in the States. A very, very busy man. Coming up, we're going to continue building up to a huge day for the mighty Three Lions. You're listening to the World Cup Weekend Breakfast Show on talkSPORT.
Likeability still favours Messi, not Ronaldo.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe that's due to appearance. Maybe that's image. Yeah. Maybe that's like you feel that Messi. I mean, they both love the game, don't they? Immensely. I think Messi. If you have a favourite, I think Messi for me is a better player, slightly better player. But there's not much between the two of them. You have to admire what Ronaldo.
But he's Messi's an unchallenging. He's a diminutive little goblin, isn't he? Whereas you've got this 6-foot Adonis of Ronaldo that challenges the way that people look at the world, and he's quite strong in his views. Obviously, he's been outspoken. He's had controversies in his life that Messi hasn't had. His unfounded but strong allegations made about him that have reverberated through the media, and he divides opinion in lots of ways. This argument, I think, it's a reductive argument about who's the better player. I just want to celebrate both players. They're both absolutely remarkable players, and every time you open your mouth, I mean, you listen to the social media trogs that spend their entire time being insulting about the fact that someone might think that Ronaldo's better than Messi. I make the case, and I don't know whether it's a good argument or not, and Martin can weigh in if he thinks it is that if you've played and won in every country that you've been in, whether it's Portugal, whether it's the UK, the Premier League, whether it's the La Liga or Serie A and into Saudi as well, and being a standout player, I personally think that's a calling card for the reasons why you might be considered able to be the greatest player.
Do you want Portugal to win this World Cup for Ronaldo? Just to go back to that, if you were to swap them over, if you were to put Ronaldo into the Argentina team, I don't think they'd be world champions. I think that's the difference. I think Messi,
based on what?
Based on the way that he connects with the team. Messi, everyone works for him. With Ronaldo, you don't get that same feeling in a Portugal shirt, and they've got massive talent around him. You know, look at the number of the players that are in there. Yeah. Great players.
Oh, yeah.
But Ronaldo, I think, he's older as well. He's 3 years older. Messi's still got that.
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
Yeah, good morning. It's a World Cup weekend breakfast show. England are playing tonight and we cannot wait. But also, Formula E returns to talkSPORT 2 this weekend for commentary of the Shanghai doubleheader weekend. With 6 races left in the season, the championship hopefuls are aiming to score big points during China's challenging rainy season. Now, talkSPORT's John Jackson's been chatting with driver Antonio Felix da Costa on the altitude in Mexico City about a driver's experience in those climates and if he's got any advice for England players.
Good luck, for sure. That's going to be hard. I mean, I don't know how many of the Mexican players play in Mexico or Mexico City, but I'm 100% if you're used to that altitude and lack of oxygen, you will have an advantage. And I think we'll see it in the last kind of the second half for sure, and maybe towards the second half of the second half. But yeah, hopefully, you know, they're out there already now. And if I'm the England team, I'm flying there tonight and, you know, working out on that altitude as much as I can and getting the players ready.
When you prepare to race there in Formula E, is there any particular different exercises you do?
We can train a few things with altitude back home. There's a few devices we can wear that simulate high altitude, just taking some oxygen away from us. And then we usually try to get to Mexico a couple of days early and just get acclimatized to the lack of oxygen there.
Good stuff. That's talkSPORT 2 from 7:30 a.m. today for all wheel-to-wheel action as the all-electric racing series returns to the Shanghai International Circuit. Now, we've been asking you to get in touch. Tell us how you're feeling. 81089 03717 223344. Dan, the Oxford fan, says, certainly feeling nervous about the game tonight. Man for man, we're much better than them, but the atmosphere alone will level that out. We've relied on Kane. Now it's time for someone else to make a name for themselves. We hired Tuchel for these exact reasons. I believe if we can do this, then we'll make the final. I think Dan's got a point in that this is a bit of a sliding doors moment for the Thomas Tuchel appointment. And if they can get over the line in really tough circumstances under a lot of pressure from the Mexico fans, that maybe this is the sort of, the starting point for them to kick on.
I said to you yesterday about, if you get to 0-0 or you might nick the lead, and enormous pressure on the Mexican team.
Yes.
Do you know what's not in the newspapers? It's a little bit disappointing. I know that they've got a bit of a struggle with timings, obviously games being played late at night. But there's very little information out there on the Mexican team.
Yes.
There's loads of stuff of, England in the Azteca in 70 and then 1986.
Yeah.
There's lots of all that sort of rhetoric.
The only stuff I've seen is about Raul Jimenez and the amazing journey he's been on.
Yeah, and not scoring, and now he's got.
But that's about it, really.
Yeah, but they haven't gone too deep into the Mexican team.
Yeah,
which I don't think yet have conceded a goal, have they?
No.
We haven't had much feedback from this Mexican team, which is a bit of a strange one.
Yeah, no, it's going to be an interesting one. Right, the latest episode of How to Win a World Cup is now live. Matt Ford alongside 1998 World Cup winner Manny Petit and comedian Jacob Hawley to unpack England progressing to the last 16. And he asked Petit if anyone can stop favourites France.
Let's just talk about the wingers that we start with. Madueke, who is sort of very good at getting it into positions. The final product usually isn't there, and I know you're both sort of Arsenal loyalists. Do you sort of persist with him in order that you can use Saka as an impact sub, or you just better off starting off with Saka?
It's hard because I don't think Saka looks fit. I think Saka looks like a 20-minute player at the moment. I don't want to criticise Noni too much because I do think as a defender it must be difficult to face him. I've heard people say with Noni, if he could just get the final action right, he'd be an elite footballer. I think off the ball as well, he always comes to feet. He's so fast. I want him to go behind more.
Yes.
But he always wants to come, collect it, and then try and beat his man again. It slows the game down for the rest of the England attack. I've found him frustrating to watch, I have to be honest.
And what is, Emmanuel, you're nodding along, what is that, confidence or is that just a lack of ability?
Both. I think he must do much more than that. But Madueke and Saka, I agree, Saka doesn't look fit 100%, On top of it, there is something that worries me a lot about Saka. Is he has no smile anymore on his face. He used to get a smile for months and months. He has no smile anymore on his face. As I said so many times, if you want to go until the end, you need to change a lot of things, and it starts with the wingers.
That is the boys from How to Win a World Cup, Matt Ford, Jacob Hawley and Manny Petit, with an honest assessment of England's wingers there. I get the sort of impression, the feeling cast that, last time out it was Harry Kane with his back and he wasn't at it. This time out it's Bukayo Saka, and I think Manny Petit's brutally right there. He doesn't look the same player and hasn't for a while.
No, he's had injury issues, but for me, Saka's the best out of the four. If you said to me on his game,
of course he is on his day.
He's the best out of the four. And I think also because of the issues around the fullbacks, and look, O'Reilly's quite new to the England setup in the, and then obviously there's problems at right back. It hasn't helped Madueke. I thought it was really interesting seeing Declan Rice go in the right back area, and then what he done, he got the ball really early to Saka.
Yeah.
And I know he's come on, he's a bit fresher, but I would say out of all them four wingers, no one's guaranteed a starting spot. And he's spinning plates slightly with his wingers at the moment, and he's chopping and changing, bringing them on. And the ones that are coming on are doing better than the ones that start.
Yes, always.
So it feels like somewhere along the line, they've got to grasp that position.
Yeah.
Whatever one of the four wingers...
Someone's got to stamp their authority on that starting wing position and put a performance in worthy of that. I do think that Rashford against Ghana was nice, and against Panama, was direct. But then, like you say, Gordon came on and made a real impact in the last game against DR Congo. Yeah. And so you saw what I'd like to see, I'll be honest, is I don't want to see, because of the altitude, Saka come on, burn himself out, bring him on for 20 minutes. Hopefully we're in a winning position, and hopefully then he can add another goal to it or make a goal, because he's clearly not fit. And you said, on his day he's the best. Well, I agree, but he's not had his day for a long time.
No, look, there's one thing's for sure, is that England if they can get to the quarterfinals, that they get in that game scenario, they're going to need to have their wingers absolutely at their best. They cannot carry the wingers and just hope that, whether we make changes, they then deliver. Yeah. I think by the time, if they get quarterfinals and then try and get to the semis, to be successful, they've got to be playing and knowing who's the best winger on the day. They've nailed that place.
Yes.
Someone's got to nail them wingers' places.
Yeah,
in the next game or two.
And a bit like what you referred to, Cass, someone else other than Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham's got to show up big in this game against Mexico to give us a good chance of getting through to that quarter final.
You have the hero. It happens all the time, Max, in football, in club football, international. Someone has done something. Is it Elliot Anderson?
Yeah, exactly.
Your man.
Yeah.
Suddenly pops up and does something and scores a goal. Or you mentioned the other day, which a lot of people have been picking on Elliot Anderson about he's not forward passing. But he played a ball, didn't he?
Yeah, that broke the play and led to a goal.
And then led to a goal. He's capable of that. And you've seen it at Forest. And, I've seen it with him as well in certain games. So there might be somebody else who would deliver.
Absolutely. That's England. Keep your texts coming in on that. 810 03 717 2233 44. What do you want to see in terms of the wingers and who Thomas Tuchel starts and who he opts to come off the bench and make an impact at altitude where England are going to need it? But up next, we're going to talk about one of the big stories in club football in the Premier League this week, and that is regarding my beloved Forest and Oliver Glasner.
He shouldn't get beat near post, mate. He should not get beat near post. I'm not having it.
That football saying has been knocking around since I was a kid. Right? In that situation, there's no defender in front of him. He's had a touch. He's got his head up. He's got the goal to aim at. He can go that way. He can go this way. Pickford knows that. Stop saying he shouldn't get beat.
No, but, all right, okay, right.
Are you saying it's a crime?
No, he shouldn't get beat. He shouldn't get beat.
Why not? Why not?
Right, stand there. Right, we've got 2 posts here. Right, that's a goal. Right, please, for me.
What's the goal?
Well, there's the goal. You got a post there and you got a post there. All right, talkSPORT's the goal. All right.
So that's their post.
Yeah, you got.
That's their post.
Yeah, right. You got your seaman shirt on. Right.
Okay.
Right. I'm the Congo player.
I'm set.
Well, no, you're not set because you're in the middle of the goal. You got to set. You're standing there.
Hold on. That's the post.
That's the near post.
I'm happy.
No, you're not happy.
I'm happy.
No, you're not happy.
What's that?
What do you mean? That's the back post. Don't worry about that. You don't need the mic. All right. People can hear you.
Where are you?
I'm here. I'm the Congo player. I've got the ball.
Get back a bit.
Right. I'm here.
Yeah.
You're standing in the middle of the goal for one. You're in the wrong place.
I'm happy.
No, you're not happy.
I'm happy.
You're not happy.
I'm happy.
Okay, well, I'll score near post.
Okay, but you can score there as well.
No, but that's not where you stand. You stand there.
I stand here.
No, you don't stand outside the post, do you? You stand next to the near post.
Okay.
I shouldn't score there.
Okay.
I should not score there.
Where's he going to score?
If he scores there, in the top corner.
No, forget top corner. Where's some top corner?
If he scores there, there's more space. It's a better strike. Yeah. It goes across the keeper.
Yeah, okay.
It's a good goal.
So what's wrong with that?
But that's not where Pickford's standing.
Well, he is.
He's not.
That's exactly where he stood.
He's not stood there.
No, I'm not having it, mate.
What do you mean you're not having it?
I'm not having it.
You don't get beaten in the near post.
It's a football saying which needs to be outlawed, right? In a 1v1
situation. Near post.
Stop saying it. What a goalkeeper can get beat near post.
He can't.
He can.
He can't.
In that situation, he can.
Yeah, good morning. How you doing? Thanks for joining us on your radio, your smart TV, on social media. This is the World Cup Weekend Breakfast Show. I'm your host, Max Scott. I've got alongside me former Chelsea striker Tony Cascarino. Here are some of the other headlines you're waking up to this Sunday morning. Deontay Wilder's co-manager has confirmed the former world heavyweight champion would welcome a fight with Alexander Usyk. Reports suggest Usyk is targeting Wilder for a third time. And England legend Kyle Walker joined talkSPORT Drive Boys this week. Walker was asked about England's current fullback situation and if he'd consider coming out of international retirement if Thomas Tuchel called.
Yeah, I feel good. I'm back in pre-season. I'm back in pre-season. Yeah. Did the yo-yo test. I'm good to go. Yeah, I'm good to go. But I when you look at the names that we've had in the competition that I would say that I've had to fight off for so many years now, with trips, the likes of Reece James coming up and doing so well, Trent playing at Liverpool, winning Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues, and to be in this situation now, and I look at it as the England team, and I look at it, they've got one natural fullback with Jed Spence. Nico O'Reilly's not a natural fullback. No. He's a midfielder. Obviously, he's done extremely well at Man City, and rightly so, he's in this England team. But to learn your trade as a fullback, it's not over a season. It's over years of, being tested against probably, or if not the best players in the world.
Kyle Walker speaking to the boys on Drive earlier this week. Cass, this question's been cropping up all week. If Kyle Walker was in the squad, England squad now, would you start him over Jed Spence at right back?
It's a hard one because Kyle Walker at his best is absolutely, and Kyle could, as he said there, he feels great, and I mean he's not as quick as he once was, and why would he be? But he's a brilliant fullback. You could argue he's one of the best right backs that's been around. So I mean, he seemed to relish the one-on-one.
Yeah, he loved it.
He actually wanted to go, come and race me. I mean, so he had some great battles along the way. It would be a hard one because he wasn't really in the reckoning, and Burnley have a really difficult season. So not really now, but obviously Kyle Walker at his prime was an exceptional footballer.
Yeah, without a doubt. Don't forget that England take on Mexico tomorrow morning from 1 a.m. and that, of course, is live here on talkSPORT. But in the meantime, Oliver Glasner signed at Nottingham Forest as new head coach, a 3-year deal, reportedly with the highest salary in the club's history for a coach. Here's reaction from former Forest manager Sean Dyche, who co-hosted World Cup Weekender on talkSPORT.
I think the feeling was that Glasner was going to get a bigger club. Yeah. Maybe in Europe, not just in the Premier League, across Europe, maybe.
I know what you're saying. Yeah,
that hasn't quite come across, or not at this moment. Forest is a big club, I must make that clear, and so Palace in their own rights, as I've just suggested. But not the superpower clubs, which possibly he thought he was going to get. Now, they've attracted him. I can only imagine he must have got a very big offer. Mm-hmm. And I can only imagine, from putting my manager's hat on, not only that offer, but you'd go, I'm not going to be on the turnaround. I'm not going to be on the revolving door. So therefore, not only a contract, but probably a contract with some big support in it, contractually, as if to say, I'm not coming in and you just get rid of me for whatever reason it might be. I don't know, the fans get disgruntled, or you just get rid of me, or whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. Players, in my case, all that kind of thing. It seems to me he's going in there, and I would imagine, again, my management hat, he's got that safeguarded on his contract, which there's not doing anyone down. I got on well with the owner, so there's no problem there.
Sean Dyche giving his reaction to what looks like Oliver Glasner taking the job that he had, what feels like, just a few months ago. Delighted to say to join us to talk a little bit more about this, what it means for Forest, how good a signing this is. Delighted to say we're with former Forest defender James Perch. How you doing, Perchy?
Hi, James. Good, thank you, Max. How are you?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm doing well, mate. And before the DR Congo game, I was through the roof. I was absolutely delighted with this signing. Obviously, it's bittersweet. Vitor Pereira did amazingly for the club. But what do you make of the appointment and what it means for Forest going forward?
I love Vitor. I love what he did when he came into Forest. I thought it was excellent, and how he stabilised the club. But I think the opportunity to have a manager such as Glasner, I think it was too hard to pass by, and I think that's what the owner was thinking. And what the owner does, he does right by Forest and what he thinks is right. And to have Glasner there, I think is superb. He's a winner. He's won trophies at Crystal Palace. He's won trophies previous, and hopefully he can get trophies at Forest.
Absolutely.
See, it's really interesting because I'm listening to Sean Dyche, and he worked for Marinakis, and he knows exactly how the man works, and has probably gave us enough information to say, look, it feels for the first time you've got a manager going in that's going to get back in and not, with a contract as well, that it's going to be expensive to get rid of him. That saying maybe stability is for the first time actually on the cards, maybe.
Hopefully, because as a Forest fan, stability and consistency hasn't always been there. So having this appointment with the supposedly contract that is on, I think is great for Forest. I think Marinakis will want to build Forest around him and make him make big decisions. And let's not have it wrong. He's got a massive transfer fund it's just sold Elliot Anderson for 160 million. So he's trusting him to go and build a squad that's capable of competing in the Premier League at the higher level that we've seen in the previous years for Forest.
For me, Perchie, it's kind of one of those things where I think it's unbelievable recruitment. It's an amazing coup. But this last season has to be a drop in the water. Forest can't become the Watford of the Premier League. And yes, Marinakis is demanding. Yes, he might be difficult to work with, but they've got to find a way to give Glasner time. We've seen what he can do at Palace. That I think Forest fans are in a position where they can expect that, or they can reasonably say, this has to happen. We need to keep him for a minimum of 2 years just to see what he can do.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think this is going to be the first season where we see Forest not in a relegation fight. I know we finished in Europe, but it's always been touch and go whether we stay up or not. I think this is going to be the first season now where we've got a proper manager behind us, a big transfer fund where we can go and build a good squad, and now we can kick on now as Forest fans. Everyone I've spoken to are fully excited about this appointment.
Yeah, James, I've got to add in that, Glasner played the formation at Palace, which was, whether it's the 3 at the back or a 5, he did it brilliantly well. And, they were one of the best I've seen in that sort of formation. And looking at, and I was saying to Max off air that, if you go with Aina one side and then you go Williams the other, you feel like they can do that natural job as well as being wing backs or fullbacks. Yeah,
definitely. The energy that Ola's got and Nico Williams is through the roof. They both can run up and down all day. My only problem is the 3 centre-backs. We've got 2 in Milenkovic and Murillo. I just think if you're going to play that 3, you're going to need another top centre-half. Morato's coming in and done well at times, but I don't think he's up to the level to play week in, week out for Forest and kick us onto that next level. So the transfer market's going to be massive for Forest this season. I just hope they get it right, because last year I think they kind of struggled a little bit.
Is there, other than a defender, and I make you right there, Morato, we know he's been shaky. He's had the odd good performance, but there needs to be strengthening there. With Anderson gone, there's been names like Lucas Bergvall, Curtis Jones. Is there anyone in particular that you think could really sort of fit into that sort of place behind where Morgan Gibbs-White plays?
I've had this conversation a lot, and to try and replace Elliot Anderson and what he does is going to be very hard. I said it's going to probably take 2 players to cover what he does, because he does so much for Forest in that midfield. But the obvious one, I think, would be Curtis Jones. I think he's proven. He's an England international, so you're not taking a gamble on him and hoping he hits the ground running. Hopefully, with his experience and all the games he's played for Liverpool, he will just walk straight into the team and just almost kick on from where Elliot Anderson left off. I don't think he's as good as Elliot Anderson, but I think he's a replacement where you can't go wrong with him.
See, I'm sitting next to Max, who's a Forest supporter. You're probably a supporter and an ex-player, and I feel like there's a real lot of excitement about what's just happened.
Yeah, definitely. Since this news broke, everyone I've spoken to, I'm a Forest fan, obviously, previous player, but everyone I've spoken to are absolutely buzzing about this. Don't get me wrong, everyone loved Vitor and what he did, but I think this appointment just shows the ambition of the club, and I think we've all got to get behind Oliver now and just hopefully get that success that Forest fans have been crying out for years, because it has been tough being a Forest fan. It was even tough being a Forest player when I was there. The league that we're in, League One, and getting into the Championship. So now that Forest are in the Premier League, we just want that little bit of success, just very similar to what Crystal Palace have done.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I've got to ask you, because we'll have lots of Newcastle fans listening. You were much loved up there. I think coined Perchino as well. Look, what do you make of the summer they're having? Because for me, it must be an absolute sickener to sell Sandro Tonali and look, you're getting 100 million quid, great. But to Spurs, who finished 17th back-to-back seasons, what do you think the feeling is amongst Newcastle, and what do you expect from them next season?
I don't know what to expect. I really feel sorry for Newcastle. I think they've got great owners, but with the rules, they can't seem to spend the money, and they're having to sell their best players. With Tonali, they should be building a team around Tonali because he's that good of a player. But it seems like they're having to sell, and I don't get it. Whether it's Tonali playing in that team and he's not seeing the ambition coming from the club because they can't sign the best players, I don't know. But to see Tonali leave and go and join Tottenham, who finished 17 in 2 seasons, is a sickener for the Newcastle fans. I know Newcastle fans just want success, very similar to Forest, and they got a little bit a couple of seasons ago, and you saw what that did to the city. I just think they want to just build on what they've done, and they, for some reason or another, they can't do it. And the Newcastle fans will be fuming up there.
Absolutely. Now, I've got to ask you as well, Perchy, before you let you go, how are you feeling about England-Mexico tonight? We were messaging and, it's been a bit of a stop-start tournament. England haven't necessarily been hugely impressive, but they've got a game tonight against a decent opposition where they can really sort of show us what they're made of. How do you see it playing out in Mexico City?
I think it's going to be tough. I think, obviously, all the talk about the altitude and all the rest of it, I think, is a factor. But when you look at both sets of squads, England have got 6 or 7 100+ million pound players. We should be looking at this game and going, yeah, it's going to be tough with the altitude, but we're a better team than these. Let's just go and beat them, and hopefully it is plain sailing. But I think it is going to be tough. I think England are going to win. I think 2-1.
Yeah,
but it's going to be a tough game.
It's going to be. Mate, you're right. England are going to win this game. I think there's been a lot of doom and gloom around it, Perchy, and I just sort of think tonight's a night where they can kind of put that to bed and bring back that feeling that we kind of had at the end of the Croatia game. I've just got a text to read to you before I let you go. This is from Mark, the Newcastle fan. He says, Perchinho is a legend for the tune. Love hearing his voice. Thanks so much for joining us, mate. The listeners have loved it. It's been great to have you on, and we'll speak to you very soon.
Cheers, James.
Thanks, mate. Cheers, Tony.
That is former Newcastle, former Forest defender James Perch, giving us a bit of an all-round, really, on Forest getting Glasner, Newcastle having to sell Tonali, and a bit of England chat as well. Brilliant stuff. You're listening to the World Cup Weekend Breakfast Show on talkSPORT. And coming up next, we're going to get more England build-up. Don't you worry about it.
Quick one on Portugal against Croatia. Portugal won 2-1 in the end. Ronaldo, of course, getting his first knockout goal with a penalty straight down the middle. What did you make of the controversial VAR decision?
Well, I think hair's very overrated, don't you, Gab? Very overrated.
I don't think you need it, mate.
No, exactly, yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course. Both of you.
Who would have talked? Don't mess with the borders.
So I've got the Mitchell brothers in here.
Well, don't you think in the the marginal gains that in future managers say to all the defenders, whatever. By the way, get your head shaved.
That's a very good point.
It's nonsensical. Honestly, it is so ridiculous that we're talking about a hair follicle and you're talking about Snicko, right? VAR wasn't brought in for that. And when I don't know, you've probably seen it. When you're looking at it, right?
Hard to tell.
The ball doesn't change flight. The spin of the ball doesn't change whatsoever.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I agree with everything you've said. I agree with you. But here's my question: was it offside?
What, according to Snicko?
Well, according to the laws of football, was it offside?
Not really.
No, because we're not 100% sure that it's actually touched. You know what we're going to do now is right.
I know, but it was offside, right? I agree with you, Perry. You won't get an argument from me.
Good. Why is it offside?
But because it's touched him.
How do you know it's touched it?
Because the microchip in the ball has told us that.
Yeah, right. So that's how mad that this is that we're talking about. Everybody thinks you're talking about cricket, number one.
Yeah.
Right, with the Snicko, right?
Yeah.
That's not. Football is about emotions and losing your mind and celebrations and exalted moments with your friends, your family, aunties, and on the pitch as well. VAR was brought in for Thierry Henry's handball for France against Ireland. That is it. So now they've made themselves so important that we're going to, the minutiae, we're going to go into CSI sort of,
Yeah, I don't like it.
PGMO.
I know, but if we score the winning goal in the World Cup final and it's offside...
Yeah, a bit of Daft Punk around the world to get us into a bit of French chat. Of course, first time I've ever heard Daft Punk are a French band. I mean, music isn't my strong point, Cass. Did you know they were French?
No, but I didn't know it was Daft Punk, so...
You didn't know, or you did know?
I didn't know.
Oh, there you go.
No.
We're clueless.
Yeah, I sort of go back to the times of Plastic Bertrand. Do you remember? Oh, mind you, he wasn't French. He used to sing in French, but he was actually Flemish.
Oh, there you go. Never heard of him either. Good job I'm a sports host, isn't it?
C'est Plain Pour Moi, the song.
Means nothing to me, Cass.
Vanessa Paradis, you know Vanessa Paradis? You've heard of her?
No.
No. Charles Aznavour?
No.
No. Serge Gainsbourg?
No.
Johnny Halliday?
No. Who are these
French
people?
Singers you don't know.
Oh, of course I don't, mate. I'm a Nottingham boy.
MC Salah, have you heard of that band?
MC Salah?
No,
is that what he's done when he's left Liverpool?
Salah. They were...
Mo Salah?
Yeah. MC Salah were a sort of a rap French band as well. They were big.
Yeah, learn something new every single day with you, Cass. I'm not the most cultured music.
Bet you can't wait for tomorrow then.
Right. Anyway, Daft Punk are French because we're talking France. World Cup favourites France made to sweat against Paraguay to book their quarter-final place against Morocco. Kylian Mbappe's second-half penalty proved enough to help them past the dirty tactics of Paraguay in Philadelphia. Let's welcome in French football expert Lee Davey for more on this game. Good morning, Lee. How you doing?
Hi,
Good morning, gents.
Did you know any of my French artists, Lee?
Yes, I did. Johnny Halliday was a legend. MC Solar,
yes,
rapper, Vanessa Paradis. Every guy's first crush. If you're my age, anyway. Of course, I know.
Well, I've made myself look like a right idiot anyway, haven't I? Well, let's turn and talk about football. Something I know a little bit about. Cass made a really good point earlier, Lee, that this French side showed a side to them that we haven't yet seen in the World Cup. Grit, elbows out, sort of facing up to the dirty tactics of Paraguay, and that's something that, will please Didier Deschamps no end.
Absolutely. I mean, that was a test that they've not faced so far. They've swept every team aside, and that one last night was something they probably needed to experience. They would have been well briefed. I think they would have known that will come in, that type of opponent was coming, but there was some astounding stuff going on in that match. It was incredible.
How has a Paraguay player not been booked, Lee? It's a modern-day travesty.
That was the point I was coming to, Max, to think that France had 3 players booked and Paraguay had none. Some of the things that were going on was just blatant thuggery. And, what was strange to me was that some of the refereeing there, not to go to the VAR, didn't even intervene at certain points. There was that one that Kylian Mbappe was just elbowed.
Yeah.
He didn't even have the ball. And he was sticking to the ground, and you're sitting there, you're scratching your head, you think, what's going on here? Yeah. But even for me, and I don't think it's really been touched on that much so far, with the penalty. I mean, it was as blatant a penalty as you're going to see, but the fact that had to go to even VAR really, it astounded me, really. There were some really crazy things going on in that game, but I tell you something, Didier Deschamps will come out of that and he'll be super pleased. One, that he's not got any injured players, but 2, also that his side has shown a mentality and has showed a grit and has showed a real restraint in the face of such provocation. And they'll take that on now into the latter rounds.
Lee, I'd said, and I've said this to Max over the last few weeks, I don't know a team, I can't think of a side that can, keep a clean sheet against France. I think that's one of the biggest challenges for any team that plays them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that attacking threat is incredible, isn't it? I mean, Paraguay did I will give them their flowers. They did an incredible job to a point, and it took a penalty. It took that, it took that bit of magic from Desiree Doué when he came on to kind of weave through 2 or 3 defenders to open up that penalty for Mbappe to slot home. But apart from that, there's such. I mean, they're so wonderful to watch. They're so sweeping, the interchange, the fact that they're just on the same, everyone's basically on the same wavelength. They create with just such style. It's just wonderful to watch. It's tough to keep them out, to shut them out. But, football doesn't work. It's not always about the favourites. The favourites don't always win. The favourites don't, you look at them now and you think, who's going to beat them? I think they're going to face some tougher tests now. We're at the business end of this tournament. You look at who's potentially coming up for them. You've got Morocco on Thursday night, that's going to present a different test in themselves. They've got a lot of players that know each other very, very well. A lot of these players play in Liga, and that's going to be a really interesting test, especially with France. They knocked Morocco out 4 years ago at the semi-final stage, you remember. So they'll be, Morocco will be out to hopefully, from their perspective, will put that to bed and get some revenge on that. But what awaits after that potentially is Spain. Again, we're not getting too far ahead of ourselves, and a potential repeat of the last final against Argentina. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it'll be England.
Yeah. Can you give England fans any hope about France? Because understandably and rightly, we're lauding them as the best team in the world. They're playing the best stuff. They look the most threatening. Michael Olise, just incredible. But there is a part of me that I watched the game last night, and yes, they won the game. Props to them. We've covered that. But they didn't score from open play. And yes, it was really tough, but I kind of look at the reaction to England against Ghana, for example, which was just sort of totally apocalyptic and so negative. But France didn't score from open play. And in that first half against Senegal, in that first game, I think they demonstrated some vulnerability at least. So if there is a vulnerability, Lee, where does it lie, and how can an opposition unlock that and exploit that?
I think it's a great point. I think certainly in defence, I think you can get that back line, especially the wing backs. I think they are, I wouldn't say they're weak wing backs, but I think that, if you've got two good wingers, decent wingers, England have got a couple of options. Anthony Gordon, obviously, Noni Madueke, who seems to be the player of choice for Thomas Tuchel. I think you can get in and behind those types of players. I don't think they're particularly overly strong in full-back positions. Midfield's another one. Chouameni's injured. He's that midfield, what kind of general, isn't he? He dictates the play, he breaks it up. He's good. Strangely, they've got a pretty good other option in terms of Manu Kone, who's coming in. He's done really fantastically well. He's done well, isn't he? Yeah. Rabiot again.
Yeah.
Again, but these are players who are good, but I wouldn't see them as exceptional. I think there's definitely a discrepancy when you're looking at the midfield compared to the attack. I think you've got good midfielders, but I don't think they're world-class midfielders. So I think they can be got out in midfield, and particularly if you've got a fit Declan Rice. I'm thinking well ahead to a potential meeting in the final here. That would be fantastic. But I think midfield and the fullbacks. But obviously they've got such a strong attack, haven't they? And trying to keep them out is going to be so difficult for any team trying to face them. And this is what Paraguay did so well last night in keeping them into, it was a penalty ultimately. It's the only way they were going to win the game. France, they could find no way past them, and they're going to give props to Paraguay for that. But it's going to be an interesting end to the tournament. It's going to be tough to see anything past France, but I think there is one nation that can do it. I think it's Spain. I think Spain can do it. Spain have played France the last 10 times. They've beaten them 6 times out of the last 10. The last 2, and obviously the Euros last year, they beat France as well, knocked them out. So I think psychologically they might have a bit of an edge. Spain certainly won't be fearing France, but that is one team out of any that I could see potentially stopping them.
Lee, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for, but it's been an absolute pleasure. First time I've met you, hopefully not the last. That was absolutely great stuff. Thank you, Lee, mate.
Cheers, Lee.
Thanks,
all the
guys.
best.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Brilliant stuff. That's French football expert Lee Davey, I think, giving us some really interesting insight on the potential vulnerabilities for France in that sort of fullback position. Great stuff from Lee Davey. But coming up next, we're going to look ahead to a tasty tie tonight. Brazil against Erling Haaland's Norway.
Wayne Rooney has just said that Thomas Tuchel should have brought Kyle Walker to this World Cup. That experience and the ability to play a right back rather than have to take Declan Rice out of midfield could have been useful.
I think a Kyle Walker and his pomp would drastically improve this team. I really do.
100%.
Stuart Pearce there and Adrian talking about Wayne Rooney's comments. Carl Walker's in the studio with us. Perfectly timed. What do you make of Wayne Rooney's comments there?
No, I think for Wayne to say that, it's flattering. I think a legend like that to say that about you, it obviously gives you a little bit of a pat on the back. But I still go back to the Trent scenario that, Trent is still out there and available, and I think maybe he should have got the nod.
The comments itself, you've retired from international football. I didn't know this, but you told us in the gallery back in April.
I think it was around about April, March.
You regret that a little bit?
No, I think I do regret it looking in hindsight now that there's a potential place for me in this World Cup.
Did you feel that place had gone now? That just wasn't going to happen again, that your England career had come to an end? Is that...
I look at it now and I think that obviously with Reece and Tino's recent injuries, maybe I could have got the shout. But when I had the conversation eventually with them at England, that was not an opportunity that I was going to get. Obviously not playing the couple of friendlies that they had prior to the tournament. I knew that from that moment on that they was taking that set of lads to the World Cup. So I kind of just rested on it on that.
Did you have a conversation with Thomas Tuchel?
Not.
Few people win the World Cup as a player. Very few people win the World Cup as a manager. Only 3 men in history have done both. One of them is Didier Deschamps. I mean, what a team. For our younger viewers, that's Zidane, Desailly, Leboeuf, Thuram. I could go on. And in 1998, those legends were captained by Didier Deschamps. Before that tournament, Deschamps had been winning league titles and Champions Leagues with Marseille and Juventus and had led Les Bleus since 1996. They hadn't even qualified for the World Cups in 1990 and 94, but Deschamps had spearheaded the Renaissance. It culminated in that final against Brazil. The 30-year-old playing at the base of midfield was keen to get stuck in. Fais-le savoir que tu es là, French for let him know you're there, according to Google Translate. Zidane and Petit got the glory, but Deschamps controlled the game before lifting the trophy into the Parisian night sky. After winning the Euros 2 years later, he hung up his boots and jumped into management. He had spells in club football before, in 2012, being put in charge of his nation. France scraped into the 2014 World Cup via the playoffs and were pretty pleased about it. Even a quarter-final defeat couldn't dampen the optimism. The tables, French fans believed, were starting to turn. They were runners-up to Portugal in their own Euros, but that silver medal around the manager's neck was about to change colour. In 2018, World Cup magic. France handed an almighty beatdown to Croatia, and Deschamps got his hands on this for a second time. It meant that he joined Brazil's Mario Zagallo and Germany's Franz Beckenbauer as the only men to have won the World Cup as a player and manager. France's victory even turned their president, Emmanuel Macron, into a meme. He still made me laugh, honestly. Deschamps went close to defending the title in 2022, but some guy called Lionel Messi had his own storyline to complete. Deschamps captained legends, he managed legends, and his World Cup achievements are legendary. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give this guy his flowers.
Good morning, it's 6 minutes past 8 this Sunday morning. You're listening to the World Cup Weekend Breakfast Show on the radio, on your smart TV, on YouTube. I'm Max Scott, and with me is former Millwall and Chelsea striker Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
Canada become the first co-host to exit the 2026 World Cup as they were well beaten by Morocco in Houston. Here's how that final goal sounded on talkSPORT.
Brahim Diaz, he's got players to his left and right. Brahimi! There it is! To settle it!
France had to find a new way to win to keep their dream alive of retaining the World Cup trophy, beating a Paraguay team well versed in the dark arts.
Mbappe stutters right-footed and scores! Giroud goes the wrong way! The red and white wall is finally breached!
Can Morocco get revenge from last time out in a World Cup semi-final and beat the French? We will see Thursday Night Live on talkSPORT, but we're building up to England's game against Mexico. The noise has been loud outside the hotel, but Thomas Tuchel says the squad's not bothered.
Players were not even aware that there was a possible change of kickoffs, and just this example just shows you to not lose your head. We cannot influence it.
Yeah, don't lose your head. Some people on this station have been losing their heads this week about England. We're not. Bit of positivity, please. Better team on paper. We can absolutely do one at the Azteca, where, of course, Maradona's hand of God was the last time we played there. Keep your texts coming in. 03717223344 on WhatsApp, 81089 on text. If you want to call us up, the phone lines are empty. You're listening to the World Cup Weekend Breakfast Show on a day where England play Mexico in the World Cup. Okay, that, of course, is a big game. If you want to call up, speak to Cass and I, then please do. We will pick that up. But now it's time to look ahead to another game on High Pressure Picks, thanks to Shaw.
High Pressure Picks on talkSPORT with Shaw. Non-stop protection deodorant that won't ever let you down.
Bruno Guimaraes, left-footed, big chance, the winner! Barely moved the muscle.
Wherever he goes, whatever the league or country, he finds success.
Will the real Brazil please stand up?
Finding Haaland! Norway look to their go-to man, and Erling Haaland, as ever, when it really matters, he is on the end of things.
It's not going to be easy because Norway has a very good team, great players. You mentioned Haaland, he's on fire.
His fifth goal at this World Cup, and if anyone can stop Lionel Messi taking the golden boot, it may be Erling Haaland.
It's absolutely a golden generation, and people in Norway are of course dreaming of this team can go very, very far.
If we lose, I think the Norwegian people still are happy because we went through for the first time.
Drama unfold.
Yeah, tonight a five-time champions Brazil face their ultimate test, taking on Erling Haaland's dangerous Norway in a blockbuster round of 16 clash. Live on talkSPORT from 9 p.m. And we can hear now from the 2002 World Cup winner with Brazil's Gilberto Silva. He says this is going to be their toughest task so far.
It's not going to be easy because Norway has a very good team, great players. You mentioned Haaland, he's on fire. I hope Gabriel deal well with him, as he has done, when he played against him for us, this season. But of course, it's going to be hard, I think the last time Brazil faced Norway back in the days in the World Cup, the result was not favorable to Brazil. And I hope this time will be totally different. Brazil win this game and go to the next stage of the competition.
Gilberto Silva speaking to talkSPORT earlier this week. Cass, we said a lot about Brazil not being at their best, but we've got to look at sort of the issues they've got with injuries. Rafinha, Lucas Paquetá expected to miss out. Casimiro's going to be evaluated closer to kick-off because of a knock that he received against Japan. So we're looking at an already undercooked Brazil taking on a Norway side who look totally revitalised.
Yeah, there's a lack of energy in the middle of midfield, as in pace-wise, for Brazil. Casemiro looked like a couple of times that you can easily get past him. Paquetá, I don't think Paquetá's a big loss for Brazil. I really don't. Rafinha has had a difficult season in Spain at Barcelona in comparison to the previous year, which he was outstanding. The lad Ryan from Bournemouth, he gave Andy Robertson a real rough time, in the game when they played Scotland. I actually quite like their forward line with Cunha playing down the middle and Vinicius Junior on the left.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more effective with them three. I think them three have to play really well for Brazil because this isn't a classic. Alisson's a great goalkeeper. He really is. They've got two great centre-halves, Marquinhos, Gabriel. They're two great centre-halves.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of quality still there in Brazil. And obviously the manager has navigated his way from club football to international football. I think he navigates as well as anybody.
Yeah, I mean, he's the Don Carlo, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
He's just so cool, calm, collected under pressure. And I think the similarities, between Brazil and England in terms of, Tuchel, Ancelotti, level-headed, experienced managers.
Yeah.
Then teams that are relying on their stars, whether it's Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham for England or Vinicius Junior for Brazil.
Well, Vinicius Junior's looked really sharp. He's looked way sharper than he was in Qatar. That's going back 4 years ago. For whatever reason, he's got 1 year left on his contract. Okay? So, there's a part of me that thinks, well, he maybe is getting himself into a super high level of fitness and really preparing. Look, there's no bigger club than Real Madrid for a start, but he's also in a position that there's also that claim of want to be the Ballon d'Or winner or the greatest player, in a World Cup. He's got that hunger and desire because he's played like he's got a lot of grit in his belly for Brazil because he's played well in this tournament.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's talk about Norway though, because their first World Cup since 1998. I had Senegal finishing second in that group, which was a bit of a group of death. France, Senegal, Norway.
Yeah,
some tough team, tough players. But the way that they've just returned to World Cup action in the way that they have, the fans have been incredible. Martin Odegaard, Erling Haaland's banging goals in. They're a real threat. They're not the big scary football nation like Brazil, but I fancy them tonight.
Yeah, well, I think he made a really smart move. Now, this might sound daft because he left them all out against France. Right, and not
it was clever. We spoke about this.
Well, I just thought he had to.
Yes,
he can't. Norway are not blessed with the sort of depth that the leading nations have.
Exactly.
And I thought it'd be interesting what he does and leaving Haaland out. Who's obviously then
he made 10 changes, mate.
Yeah. Well, it was basically a whole team, Odegaard and other players.
Yeah.
But I actually like their forward line as well. I'm not sure about Sørloth on the right. I just think he looks more of a centre forward. But obviously got Haaland there.
Who's this Nusa that you?
Nusa, Antonio Nusa is a live wire. I think he really fits well for the Norwegian team. But they've got Premier League experience with Sandra Berg in there. They've got Martin Odegaard in midfield. Patrick Berg, he's another clever footballer. So they're a decent Norway side.
Absolutely.
This isn't the side that, lost to France 5-1. This is a side that actually can be dangerous. I think it's a really intriguing game. I'm going to watch it tonight. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, likewise, me too. That was a look ahead with Shaw. Non-stop protection deodorant that won't ever let you down.
High pressure picks on talkSPORT with Shaw, official sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026.
By the way, if you want a chance to win £26,000 tax-free cash, we're giving away the big bucks. Continue England's winning feeling. Enter now. Head to talksportwin.com to enter and for terms and conditions. But stick with us because we're going to get the latest odds with our mates from Coral.
Women managing in the men's game in general, do you think attitudes are shifting now?
Well, I don't have any fundamental problem with anything as long as it's meritocratic and it's seeded in meritocracy. And so the idea that we have to have a woman in the men's game, we have to have a gay footballer coming out, we have to have these things, aren't necessarily part of my thinking. I look at it and go, I look past the person, I look past the sexuality, I look past the gender, and I look at the capabilities. And so I've watched her in the women's game. She's very, very capable. Now, whether that translates into a space where the scale of the game. Now, people will say the basic principles are exactly the same, and ultimately football is football. And then they'll make the argument in the next breath that you can't compare the women's game to the men's game because the women don't like it and the men's don't like it, and they're two different games. So which argument do you want to run? When you've got scale, physicality, expectation, pressure, and all of the stuff that we know at the elite end of the game, I think it doesn't translate as clearly and concisely to make that decision. Also, I'm perplexed by why there is this desire. When Sarina Wiegman was doing so well, all of a sudden the lobbies come up, we should have her as England manager in the men's side. Why don't you keep her in the women's game? I thought you wanted to advance your bleeding game. I thought you wanted your game to be as best it could possibly be. Why are you seeking to take your major assets out and put them into the men's game? And what I don't like, insofar as I have any investment in this, is this constant battling between the men's game and the women's game about what the men's game's responsibility is for the women's game, because once upon a time, you know, the women weren't able to compete in the 70s and 80s. Well, you can have the 70s and 80s back, because that was when the game was bankrupt, it was full of hooliganism, and no one wanted to be involved with it. I'm not against it, as long as it's seeded in merit, and I think Emma herself spoke once upon a time about she wasn't going to manage a certain club at a certain level. I do not, with respect, see a female manager of a side like Manchester United or an elite side anytime soon, and that's not because I'm resistant to it.
Hello, I'm Matt Forden from talkSPORT. This is How to Win the World Cup.
This is the best squad I think England have ever had.
He used to love America, now he doesn't. It's very sad.
It was so important to succeed because of all the pressure we received.
Don't jump for this one, I'm going to knock his head off.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
Ça plane pour moi by Plastic Bertrand. I'm getting absolutely roasted on the text by the production team, by Cass, about my lack of knowledge on French music. Come on.
Why? I just asked a question. Why, when England are going to play, why are we playing French music?
It's a great point, mate.
England are playing tonight.
Yeah, by the way, why haven't we had 3 lines yet? Why haven't we had It's Coming Home? Do you know what I mean? In fact, I'm making we're sorting it. I'm making an executive decision. No more French music education. It's banned. England are playing. This is a banger, by the way, though, and it translates to everything's going nicely for me. By the way, in the papers this morning, England skipper Harry Kane wants fans back home partying till sunrise. He wants things going nicely for us in the pubs this morning. He was asked if hoping to see fans nursing happy hangovers on Monday morning. He replied, absolutely. I'm hoping there'll be a few all-nighters just going all the way through, celebrating into the next day and catch up on some sleep after that. You've got some interesting plans tonight, Cass. You've managed to sort of move your booking so you can go and watch tonight's action with your son, who's a France fan. Yeah. And his partner who's Mexican.
Yeah, well, no, that's another son. He was born in England, so he's an England fan. He hasn't took the Irish side, okay? But his girlfriend is Mexican, and we're coming into London to watch a game, and we're going to watch Brazil first, Norway. I want to see that one as well. So that, and then whether we last or I last to go and watch England, I'll have to catch up with it somewhere along the line. But sounds like a late night.
Yeah, mate, it's going to be. As I say, come join us at the Redwood if you need a space. If you get kicked out, just drop us a text. See if I get you in, mate.
I normally get kicked into places. Not kicked out.
Right, let's check in on the latest odds with our good friends at Coral.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT with Coral. We're here for the fans this season. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Morning, John Hill. How you doing, mate?
Hi, John.
Good morning, Max Cass. Yeah, really good, thank you, Max. It's going to be a tough night, isn't it, this evening? Staying up is going to be the biggest challenge. I'm on this slot this time tomorrow morning with the guys, so it's probably going to be an all-nighter. I don't think I'll be able to put an hour or two kip in.
Can you manage it now, John? Can you do the all-night?
No, it gets harder, doesn't it, as you get older. When I was younger, no problem whatsoever. Big NFL fan, Cass, so I was up watching a lot of NFL games, watching my Dallas Cowboys. But now I struggle to step to a midnight. I have to say I'm in bed for 10 o'clock these days with a cup of cocoa. So it's going to be tough, but look, it's the World Cup. It's every 4 years, isn't it? So we'll all do our best tonight. I'm really looking forward to it, I have to say.
Productivity in the nation's going to be at an all-time low tomorrow. I think we're all just got to accept that. John, talk to us about Coral Eclipse. How did it go yesterday? Because you believe you were celebrating 100 years of Coral as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, fantastic day. Simon was on yesterday giving it the big preview, but it was a brilliant race and once again dominated by Aidan O'Brien. He's just a master trainer, this guy. He really is. It was his 10th victory in the race and he's got another special horse on his hands, Constitution River, ridden by Ryan Moore, picked up the victory and he's got an exciting season ahead. He's going to be taking all the big middle distance races from 1 mile 2 furlongs to 1 mile and 4. So, really good day. There was a great crowd there at Sandown. The sunshine always helps, doesn't it, for whatever event you put on. But the sun was shining on the Easter racecourse yesterday, and it was just a fantastic day all round.
John, we will get to England, Mexico and Brazil, Norway tonight. But just a bit of reaction to Morocco getting through and also France?
Yeah, France, well, they've been trimmed to 7-4 at the top of the betting cast. It was a tough night for Le Bleu, wasn't it? Paraguay, they just set themselves up to frustrate, didn't they? Get under the skin. They tried every trick in the book, didn't they? But in the end, it was that man, Kylian Mbappe, who put them through with a penalty. And they still took the betting. They'll face Morocco next. And there were a lot of people's dark horses at the start of the tournament, Morocco. They're now 22-1 to go all the way. Got to the semi-finals 4 years ago, quarter-finals this year. Fantastic achievement, isn't it, for the African side? And, if they can get past France, they will be believing they can go all the way. But at the moment, as I say, France still favourites to go to the trophy, 7-4, followed by Argentina, 4-1, Spain, 6-1, England, 10-1.
Just sticking on France in a moment, Cass, we've got a couple of texts. Mark in Surrey and then Mick have both messaged in saying Plastic Bertrand is Belgian, to be totally accurate. But I think you'll find we did say that. I think.
Yeah, I said.
But it's French lyrics, right? Because he sings in French.
Most Flemish people speak French.
Yeah. So that's why it constituted as a French song.
Yeah.
Okay. So thanks for the correction, boys. But technically, he sings in French. Anyway, let's talk about England-Mexico tonight. Where do the odds sit? Are they back in England because on paper we're much better than Mexico, or are you taking into account the altitude, etc.?
No, it's all been taken into account. There's no doubt this is going to be England's toughest test so far, Max. But they are favourites to come through it. In terms of to qualify for the quarter-final, which at the end of the day, that's all that matters, no matter how they do it. England are 4-6 favourites, Mexico 11-10. So there isn't much in it, but we are favourites to prevail tonight. In the 90-minute betting, England 13-10, Mexico 2-1, the draw 21-10. So, look, it's going to be a tough test for them. We know the challenges tonight, the altitude, Mexico, this home record that they've got, and the crowd's going to be right behind them. So it's going to be interesting. I'm confident, though. I think we're going to get through. I think our class will prevail in the end, Max. But what are your predictions, guys?
We're all doing the same, aren't we? It's going to be really, really tight. We all feel the same. So
I think it's going to be 2-1 England, but I've got a feeling it could be 1-1 after 90 minutes, and then Bellingham will get the winner in extra time, no penalties. But I think 2-1 will be the scoreline either way.
Yeah, well,
sure. And
I was going to say,
I was just going to say, Harry Kane. Obviously, he's the man that's been backed as well for the goal tonight. He obviously. That in crucial brace against Congo. He's 4-6 to get on the score sheet tonight. He's 7-2 for the first goal, and he's 7-2 for another brace, which would be fantastic.
Right. Now that's tight. And how much tight is it? A little bit of leeway there because Brazil, Norway. I'm sure Brazil will be favourites, but how short are they going to be?
Yeah, well, they're 2-5 favourites, Brazil. Norway 15-1. I think Norway have got a great chance tonight. I really, really do. I'm confident Norway have given them a good game at the very least. And in terms of the 90-minute betting, they are 4-5 Brazil this evening. I don't think we're going to get a game like we saw last night between France and Paraguay. I think this will be free-flowing football. Cue the 0-0 draw tonight for 90 minutes. But surely there's going to be goals in this one tonight. Haaland on the pitch, Vinny Jr., should be a cracker, this one. And we might just need it just to keep us going before that England game for those who are staying up. So let's hope we don't get the interruptions tonight as well. I think it could be rain at this game, could be rain obviously in the England game. So let's hope the thunderstorms stay away and we just get the games on with no interruptions.
Yeah, you're not wrong. John, absolute pleasure as always, mate. And looking forward to hearing you and how you're feeling tomorrow morning after what's set to be a long old night.
Cheers, guys. Have a good one.
John.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, cheers.
Brilliant stuff. That's John Hill. And that was a look at the latest odds with Coral. 18+, be gambleaware.org. Please gamble responsibly.
The Coral Daily Download on talkSPORT with Coral. We're here for the fans this season. 18+, gambleaware.org.
OK, coming up next, Spurs. Are they back on the map after heavy investment early in the window? We'll check in with a Spurs legend. This is the Weekend World Cup Breakfast on talkSPORT.
Tuchel won the Champions League with Chelsea on the back of not playing particularly attractive football, finding their way through games. So I don't think he really cares how England play as long as they win. And that's his mindset. And he will take the positive out of it. We won. We kept on going towards the end. Well, so you should. And with due respect to the Congolese, their game fell away as the game went on and they became stretched and tired. And for whatever reason, England were able to get themselves back in the game because of the excellence of Harry Kane. Poor goalkeeper on the first goal, which got us back in the game. Brilliant second goal. But you look at it, you go, Declan Rice is like a machine hitting dead balls in there. Look at the first 3 or 4 corners that he hit in. Bang, first man, bang, first man, bang, first man. All of a sudden he starts changing his corners to balloons across the box because he seems to have his confidence gone. You look at Rice and you look at Saka when they come on, they look knackered. They look like players that have been in a long season and haven't got it. And ironically for England, Declan looked better at right back than what we've got. And that might be a conundrum for Thomas Tuchel, that he changes that. But I look across the field, Rashford, no end products. Madueke, no end products. You know, you look defensively, the goalkeeper doesn't worry me so much because goalkeepers make mistakes. That's what happens in games every now and again. And sometimes Pickford makes wonderful saves. But I look at it and say, that is not a team, in my mind, that has any chance of winning this World Cup when it comes up against serious opposition.
What makes this remarkable is how differently you two see it.
Well, I think if you're English, you're going to see it with emotion as well. And I don't have any emotion in this. Like the only person on the whole team that I played with and know is Harry Kane. I want him to do well, and he is doing well, and he's scoring loads of goals. But I don't want him to do well so much.
But Simon's assessment, it's not just emotional, Brad.
No, it's
kind of on the money, isn't it?
Well, his assessment is his assessment. It's his opinion, and he's right about a lot of the things.
Do you not think there feels an awful lot more wrong than right about this England side?
No.
Yeah, it's a World Cup weekend breakfast show with me, Max Scott, alongside Millwall Hall of Famer Tony Cascarino. Here are some of your other headlines this morning away from the mighty England. Teenage sensation. Wow. Vaibhav Suryavanshi. I'm so sorry if I've butchered that. I'm getting a thumbs up though. Became the youngest man to play for India in England's thrilling 4-wicket win in the T20 at Old Trafford. 15 years old. Absolutely incredible. Sean Dyche has backed the Scottish FA to promote former Premier League striker Stephen Naismith to be the manager of Scotland. Real Madrid as well say they've got no intention of signing Enzo Fernandez from Chelsea this summer, despite recent reports suggesting otherwise. Here's talkSPORT's chief football correspondent Alex Crook.
It would be some U-turn now if he was to end up as a Real Madrid player. It's an incredible turn of events. Obviously, they've done a deal with Chelsea already this summer for Marc Cucurella, so I guess that's where the respect element comes in, although Simon was smirking as you were reading that out. But it's not a great situation for Enzo Fernandez, is it? Because you have to remember, this is a player who was banned from the first team, stripped of the captaincy because he was openly flirting with a move to Madrid. Well, that door has been closed now. I don't see anybody else paying 120 million quid, which is what Chelsea want for Enzo Fernandez. So there's a certain element of towel between legs when he returns for pre-season training, I'd imagine.
Karma's come back to haunt Enzo Fernandez, who was sort of pimping himself out to Real Madrid all season, and they've turned around and said, "No, we don't want you, mate."
Yeah, I don't think they say they don't want him. I mean, the price is the scary thing, isn't it?
They've come out and they've said they've got no intention of signing him.
No, he's a good player, a really good player. I've been lucky enough to watch him a lot at Chelsea, and I always come away and say he's a really good player. And yeah, they paid a lot of money for him. I think Real Madrid are probably more likely to say that, knowing they're not going to even go close to that fee. But he's capable of getting goals. He's a really gifted technical player. So if someone would take him, it's just the fee is too high.
It's interesting, Cass, to me how the Spanish clubs are very public facing and have these sort of like spats on Twitter, release statements, sort of undermining each other. I quite like that. It's entertaining.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're not afraid.
No.
Cross that line sometimes. And look, Anthony Gordon has taken a bit of stick for the fee that Barcelona have paid, which was high, 70 million. And he hasn't played well enough, really, to justify that. So people are looking in and going, oh, Barcelona will be delighted with their new signing, being sarcastic. But fees have gone ridiculously high, haven't they? We would never have imagined, when we saw the first £100 million player, well, that's been... it's been bypassed a few times now.
Well, speaking about ridiculous prices, after flirting with relegation for the past 2 seasons, Spurs are set to break their club record transfer fee for the second time in a matter of days, taking their summer spending to £237 million. After completing that £52 million move for Jean-Paul Van Hecke from Brighton, they signed Mateus Fernandes for a club record £85 million from relegated West Ham. They've also agreed a deal for Sandro Tonali from Newcastle for £100 million. Despite splashing the cash, Simon Jordan's been concerned by their summer business.
No, but you're asking, hang on. I'm not criticising their ambition. You're asking me to qualify my views. And I'm looking at it and saying, I have said for a long time, because somehow I've been pigeonholed into being Daniel's PR, I've turned around and said, Daniel built a spaceship. I said this a long time ago. It might need someone different to run it. So I said that a long time ago. But I don't think it's these guys, and I don't think they've got the commercial understanding of the football operation to make football decisions. Now, buying Tonali, what does it tell you about Tonali? Tonali's going to Spurs. Now, I would always make a case for a London club because I was a London club owner and I'm a Londoner. But I look at Spurs and I think they're chaotic. I think they don't have any nous in the building, and it's no surprise to me that the mess they were in last year. Now, if they want to buy their way out of it, fantastic. I hope it works for them. But my concern, insofar as I have any concern, is that the decisions that they're making are just playing to a gallery of believing that you can buy success. De Zerbi is, to me, a one-trick pony, and we'll see how he plays out, right? Because he's got this reputation. For what?
Simon Jordan there, giving it the big one against Spurs, he says they're chaotic. For my money, Cass, I make this... if you're a Spurs fan, you must be massively relieved that finally they're releasing the purse strings and they're going big in the summer transfer window. That's what they've been criticised for not doing.
Yeah, I mean, if you're saying chaotic and you support a club that's been chaotic and has quite a lot of success, Chelsea have been chaotic and, they have struggled, and that model looks like they're slightly going to change going into the next few seasons. Tottenham have signed 2 centre-halves, 2 midfielders, a goalkeeper and a left-back.
Yeah.
Right? So that's not chaotic. That's looking at positions you need to fill, improve the players at that level. So far, and I'll be amazed if they don't do this, so far they haven't signed a forward. Right? I'll be amazed if they don't sign a forward into this football club. I think chaotic is if you buy too many in too many positions or an overload.
But they're buying what they need.
Yeah, and they needed midfield. Now, I like Archie Gray. I think it was very harsh on him to be left out towards the end of the season. But he, again, is one hopefully for the future. And Bergvall saying he wants out because he wants to play more regularly. But there was, and they did have an experienced midfield at the end of the season, Spurs, because the manager wanted it because he really felt that was important in them surviving.
Yeah.
And they paid dividends. They ended up surviving. So, they were in desperate trouble, Max, weren't they?
Oh, without a doubt.
And this club it's the first time they've gone so heavy that I can remember.
I think it's refreshing to see. And if you're a Spurs fan, I think you're going to say the same. We just got a message from John, the Spurs fan. Go on, John Boy says, loving the show this morning, Max and Tony. Tottenham will be back in the top 4 next season. Top signing so far, more to come. Top manager, 1 game a week.
Yeah,
there's real potential that they can be a real threat.
Well, and Simon said they're one-trick pony. Obviously on De Zerbi. I thought he'd done a really good job with Marseille. And the reason he left Marseille wasn't because the fans didn't want him or the club didn't want him. He knew that the club couldn't go any further. And you saw the evidence of that at the end of the season when Marseille announced the whole squad was going to be up for sale. So he obviously knew that before it was going to happen. The club that he was at was literally in disarray. So he knew that there was no way he could be successful at that football club. Marseille have suffered. I know the club really well. They've suffered for years of negligence at that football club. And he saw a bigger picture in Spurs. Now, if he's given the tools to make them successful, I get it, because he is a very aggressive manager in what he wants.
And I think that attitude, that mentality is exactly what Spurs need. I've got to say, in that relegation dogfight, which my Forest were involved in at the back end of last season, yes, we got out of it earlier than most, but I loved the cut of his jib. I loved the way he spoke. I loved the fact that he was challenging the mentality amongst some of the Spurs fans and challenging the mentality of the club to not cry about the position they were in, but to go and do something about it. I think Roberto De Zerbi is exactly what Spurs need. And when you go through the list, it's incredible business. Sandro Tonali, 100 million quid. You could say he's not worth it, but he's a top player. Mateus Fernandes, 85 million quid. Beating Manchester United to that signing. Yeah. John-Paul Van Hecke from Brighton, 52 million. Andy Robertson on a free transfer. He's going to bring so much leadership to a group that needs it. Marco Senesi, a free transfer from Bournemouth, top defender, playing in the World Cup. And Martin Dubravka from Newcastle, who's going to be solid in that goalkeeping.
Well, their goal, I wasn't sure. The goalkeeping area, I was not convinced about. So, honestly, I really...
But Anthony Kinski, when Igor Tudor left, played fantastic for Spurs. They saved him in a couple of moments.
I think Vicario was an issue for me.
Yeah.
For a long time. As soon as I saw him, I just didn't think he was strong enough, commanding enough, all the things that goalkeeper needs to have, and I didn't think. Look, the bottom line is they're rebuilding this football team, and they've made... When you outbid Manchester United, then we're talking about some of these players here that other clubs would have wanted.
Without a doubt.
So they've done the thing you need to do.
And I tell you what, they've taken a leaf out of Mr. Marinakis' book, right? United and Mateus Fernandes have been linked for a long time. They've got Champions League football. You think that they're absolute pole position to get him. Spurs steal him. You know, and they're taking a leaf out of Forest's book in terms of knowing, you know, we're stamping our authority, we know what we want, and we're getting what they want. And I'm no Spurs fan by any stretch of the imagination, but if I was a Spurs fan, I'd be hugely refreshed by it. A bit of elbows out, you know, chest out, we're going to get what we want.
And there's going to be players that are going to be pushed aside. And that had to happen at Spurs because there's been too many that have not delivered what they should be. So I'd be optimistic about Spurs. Look, there's never a guarantee, Max, on anything you do, whether it's a transfer, whether it's a manager you bring in, there's never a guarantee. It's not 100%. But what you can say is that the things they were accused of before, that they didn't spend enough and they were too prudent in certain times, that isn't the case today.
Yeah, now's not the time for prudence if you're Spurs. You know, it's been a historically bad couple of seasons. Last season was an existential crisis for the club. And like I say...
Well, 2 seasons has been...
Yeah, but I mean, one of those seasons they did win a European trophy.
But if we're talking about Premier League position, not even getting close to Champions League football, for Spurs, the idea of building that stadium was to be a regular in the Champions League, yeah? So they've fallen well short.
Yeah. Do you see a world, Cass, in the next 5 to 10 years where Spurs can win the Premier League?
Well, I did say, I remember talking to Ken Bates and what about Chelsea and his idea of what Chelsea could become, and that panned out, that they delivered, and Chelsea have become a huge club. The Chelsea I played for in between 92 and 94 were sort of mid-table or below mid-table of the old Division 1, or well, Premier League, sorry. And Chelsea become incredibly successful. So if you'd have said to me all them years back I remember laughing with other players when the design of Chelsea and all the optimism around what could happen. Okay, Roman Abramovich come into a football club, but we're seeing a lot of wealthy owners come into clubs and be aggressive. You've got one.
Yeah.
You know, and there's others. So I don't see a reason why not, but they've got to get a majority of their transfers and also bring in players that it's a fabulous stadium to play in.
Yeah.
It's really attractive to join Spurs. You know, it really is.
Yeah, training facilities, all that sort of stuff. And I guess Roberto De Zerbi's job is to try to make that a happy hunting ground for the home side, which it hasn't been. Got a good text here. Fellow Forest fan to Max, he says, it's all well said and done that Spurs are spending as long as they don't decide they want to come back in for Morgan Gibbs-White. Let me tell you, I cannot see that happening. Could be proved wrong, don't want to be proved wrong. But after getting in Oliver Glasner and having sold Elliot Anderson, there's no doubt in my mind that Mr. Marinakis will make sure that Morgan Gibbs-White is a focal point of this side moving forward. But that's enough Spurs chat. Fair play to them. I'm sure that summer spending will continue. Remember as well, talkSPORT's now available to watch live in more places than ever, including on Samsung TV Plus. So make sure you're tuning in for our wall-to-wall coverage throughout this stunning World Cup. That's Samsung TV Plus for talkSPORT. On all the sports you know and love, you can watch on Samsung TV Plus. This is the Weekend World Cup Breakfast on talkSPORT. Give us a call at England fans, 03717 223344. What do you make of tonight versus Mexico? We're getting texts through all the time. Some of you are absolutely buzzing and confident and feeling the vibe. Others of you are absolutely petrified of the Azteca, the altitude, the fan base. We want to get your calls. What should Thomas Tuchel do? Who's he starting on the wing? Who's he starting at right back? 03717 223344.
Speak for Newcastle fans, for Villa fans, for a lot of fans whose clubs can't spend money right. Spurs have finished 17th 2 seasons in a row, right? And then teams like Aston Villa, who have just won the Europa League, are getting fined £19 million and can't spend any money. It's a joke.
They're obviously spending.
I don't care.
Oh,
it's a joke. Your team as well, Manchester United. Spend whenever you want. The rules are a joke. Just what's the point, mate? What's the point? The rules are terrible, though, Andy. Come on, mate. Be real now. It's that bias, mate. It's that so-called top 6 bias. Clubs like Aston Villa and Newcastle can't buy anyone. But Spurs finished 17th, 2 seasons in a row, and then go and spend. What's next? Who's going to go and get next?
Just mad. Listen, I don't think he quite understands what FFP stands for because he's used Man United as an example. One of the biggest clubs in the world.
No, but I think he has got a point.
Yeah,
I think he has got a point about the fact that, and I feel for Newcastle and Villa fans because they've got one hand tied behind their back.
Yeah,
and they can't spend the money they've got. And now he's right. Villa are getting fined.
Would they get fined 90 mil?
It was a lot.
Yeah. But it's one of them where. But the only way that obviously the club can grow is they have to get in the Champions League every single season. Now, with Newcastle and Eddie Howe, I feel for him because what's he supposed to do? You look at the recruitment they've had over the last few seasons where he's bought players for less and sold them for a profit. And then all these best players, Tonali's now going to leave. Bruno Guimaraes is now
Elliot Anderson's the one.
Yeah, but I think back then they didn't quite know that he was going to turn.
But they had to sell him.
Yeah, because of the financial fair play.
Right, they had to sell him. Not they wanted to.
He's gone.
And you know they haven't even got a sell-on clause as well.
I feel, Eddie Howe, the job he's done at Newcastle, I think has been phenomenal. But what is he supposed to do?
Here we go then. The big England build-up on the World Cup weekend breakfast with me, Max Scott, alongside former Millwall, Marseille, Chelsea, Celtic, Aston Villa, Gillingham striker, Tony Cascarino.
Yeah, well, Gillingham. Gillingham feels a long time ago, Max.
I know. But Gillingham...
Longest club I ever played for.
Was it?
Yeah.
How many years?
I did 6 seasons at Gillingham.
6 long, beautiful seasons. Some of your headlines this morning away from the football. Kimi Antonelli built on the momentum of his earlier sprint win to claim pole position for Sunday's showpiece British Grand Prix. The missus is off there. Have a great day. Lewis Hamilton started in 3rd. Come on, you can do it. Keep that title race going. In the tennis, Britain's Arthur Ferry overcame a series of nosebleeds to reach the 4th round of Wimbledon with a stunning 5-set victory over Zizou Bergs. Great name. And Deputy Head of Mission at Mexico's UK Embassy, Joel Hernandez Garcia, spoke to talkSPORT about Mexico's pride at hosting the World Cup for a 3rd time. He told us what England fans can expect at the famous Azteca and how Mexico has made this a welcoming experience for travelling fans.
One of the things that the Mexico City government has done is to have mega screens in fan zones in 18 places around the city. So this is a sense of collectivity, a sense of democratic participation, and that has cheered up the hearts of Mexicans. El Azteca Stadium full of Mexican fans. 80,000 people will be attending, and I can imagine that the big pressure will be from what we call player number 12, the fans.
That was Joel Hernandez Garcia from Mexico's UK Embassy speaking about the historic Azteca. Has Azteca. Where's the outside of Europe? What's the sort of most historic stadium you've played in?
Lenin Stadium in Moscow. If you say outside Europe, it's sort of on the verge. Certainly there. Played in the new Giant Stadium, New York. That was an experience. A few in America. I played some other ones because we did a few tours with Republic of Ireland.
Yeah.
Where am I thinking? Malaysia, again, probably there's a few out there as well. I never, outside Europe, I've tended to play mostly all in Europe.
Yeah.
I played, obviously, with Marseille, the Velodrome was historic in Europe. Played in a good few Spanish ones. Roma, that was great.
Yeah, I've been there, so it's a great.
That's an Olympic Stadium in Rome. Yeah, great. AC Milan, Yeah, some
top
good ones in there.
So look, the England players are gearing themselves up for the daunting task of the Azteca fan base, facing those altitude difficulties, not to mention, of course, an incredibly hostile atmosphere and environment. Let's bring in our next guest for more on what's going to be an absolutely spectacular occasion. Former Spurs boss, Premier League legend, Harry Redknapp, who last time we spoke to him, he had Tony Pulis up his sleeve, just sat next to him in the car. Have you got any special guests for us this morning, Harry?
No, we're not golfing. Actually, we could have been looking. We should have really. I don't know. We normally are
golfing most mornings me and Tony tend to get off very early, but no, I'm not playing today. I'm having a bit of an easy day. I think saved me energy for tonight, staying up late. So,
That's it.
But he bashed me up badly last week, lads. Anyway,
tell us, Harry, what's your mindset as a manager? That you know, over the years that you go into a game like tonight, and I know it's international, slightly different, but these really big games where tactically you just feel you have to get so much right.
Well, yeah, I mean, picking the right team, Tony, is obviously the first big criteria, and making sure you pick the team that you feel. I mean, he has got obviously a problem at right back that he needs to solve tonight. That's, but yeah, you want to pick a team that you really feel confident is well balanced and well prepared to do the job. I mean, looking at us man for man, you know, we have got much better players than the Mexican team for sure. Obviously, the big things in their favour are the stadium, the conditions that we've got to play under tonight. They're the big things in their favour. The crowd, obviously, and everything that goes with that. But man for man, I mean, really, their players, you know, they really wouldn't. There wouldn't be too many of them would get anywhere near getting in this England team.
Harry, we've got a text from Ian from Liverpool, and he says, will everyone get a grip over this game tonight? I watched the last Mexico game. They're bang average. This isn't English arrogance. We've just got better players playing in the best leagues in the world. Do you reckon that should kind of be the message from Thomas Tuchel?
Yeah.
Forget about the altitude.
No, I agree with him. I think, I think he's dead right. I think I've watched the games as well. Listen, the centre forward, you know, he was at Fulham, and, you know, Jimenez, a good player at Wolves before he obviously had a terrible head injury. Fulham have just released him. He's going back into the Championship now. You know, we've got Harry Kane. I mean, no disrespect to Jimenez, he's not quite in the same league as Harry Kane. But in most positions, or almost every position, I think we've got better players than them. So I think that is the key. You know, go out and we're building it up as though they're going to be something special. They have got a good record at home for sure. But if we play anywhere like, you know, decent, we should win the game. Although having said that, I watched the game last night. France, I mean, they made hard work of winning last night. So, you know, all the games seem to be quite, you know, they're not easy. It's not easy to win the games, and tonight I'm sure it'll be no different. It'll be a tight game, but we have got the players, and I think we should get through.
What have you made, Harry, of the wingers? It seems the ones that start and get replaced, the people who replace the wingers that start, it doesn't matter which way you go about them, whether it's Gordon, Rashford, Saka, Madueke, the ones that come on seem to have way more effect on the game.
Absolutely, Tony. I couldn't agree with you. You know, everybody's saying, oh, well, yeah, we've got to play Rashford, then he starts and doesn't do well. And that's how it's gone, isn't it, really? You know, it's we just seem, I don't know what we do. I think we just keep rotating them and play them half a game each or something. I don't know what the answer is. But once you start them, they don't seem to be the same. Yeah, it's been quite strange, really. So I wouldn't be sure who we go with. I mean, Saka would play if he was fit, but at the moment he doesn't look anywhere near even Champions League final. Yeah. You know, it looked like he was. You know, when Arsenal played there, he wasn't quite the same. When he's fit and in good form, he's fantastic. But at the moment, he seems to be well off the pace, you know. So I don't know what he'll do tonight. It's a toss-up, really, between the lot. You know, no one has jumped out and thought, well, they deserve to start. Whenever, as you say, whenever they've started, they've not done great.
Harry, Tuchel's been telling us all tournament, England are going to play better against better opponents. Do you believe that?
I do think that, you know, maybe we need teams that are going to come out and play. Yeah, and I think it's very hard. Say, looking last night at the game, France game, when teams just sit everybody behind the ball, I'm sure Tony would say, you have practice mornings at a football club where in training you'll sit 8 in, 2 banks of 4, and you'll play your starting 11 against them or whatever. And it's very hard to break them down when people just sit in and don't move. And that's a little bit how it's been in the other games, you know, with the teams have really not come out to play and made it very difficult for England. So tonight, hopefully, they'll come out a bit more. Although the stats in the games they've played so far, they don't have a lot of possession of the ball either. So they'll probably be the same. They'll be England will dominate the ball tonight again. It's just, but we have lacked somebody, I think, to just play, someone to play more brave passes, someone to open the door with, you know, playing a special ball and don't keep playing safe. You know, somebody who can get on it. And what would you give for a Glenn Hoddle or somebody who can pick a pass and open the game up and, you know, open the door? And I think Cole Palmer is the type of lad who can go and play a little pass and beat somebody and do. We do lack somebody like that in the squad at the moment, I think, or in the team anyway.
Harry, where will you be? Will you stay at home, just watch it because it's so late?
Yeah. No, I'll just be sitting up on my own, Tony. My missus will be sound a kip. You know, I don't think she'll be too bothered. And, you know, I'll probably tell her the result. She probably won't be happy me waking her up to tell her that England have won. But, yeah, no, she'll sit here and watch it, have a nice cup of tea. And that'll be me, really. So plenty of tea, keep me awake. Couple of biscuits and just sitting on my own, really enjoying my own company and watching the match.
Ring Tony Pulis, he might be able to pop round with you.
Tony, yeah, he's a Welshman. He won't be too bothered. he'd be cheering the Mexicans on, wouldn't he?
Harry, absolute pleasure as always. Thanks so much for popping on,
Nice
mate.
talking to you, boys. Well done.
Cheers, Harry. That is the legend that is Harry Redknapp. He's going to be having his tea and his biscuits tonight watching the mighty England.
I played against his Bournemouth team when I first started my career when I was at Gillingham. Played against Harry's Bournemouth team. He had a really good side.
Yeah.
You know, they were, I think it's League One, what would be League One, so the old Division 3. But they had a good side at that.
I lived in Bournemouth for 8 years back in my teaching days.
You?
And,
it's lovely.
You know, he's beautiful. Yeah. Way better than Brighton, by the way. You know, Brighton gets it all, you know, everyone's Brighton's so cool. Yeah. You know, and it's sort of a vibe for young people. But let me tell you, Bournemouth is the most beautiful beach in this country. The Jurassic Coast, take the chain ferry up from Sandbanks where Harry lives, you know, the exclusive area. He's a local celebrity. Get the chain ferry off to, you know, Purbeck, all this sort of stuff. Absolutely stunning down there in Bournemouth.
Yeah, no, it is stunning. Well, look, Brighton will be nice when it's finished.
You're absolutely bang on, mate. Right, up next, get your calls in. It's turning 9 o'clock. We want to hear from the fans. We're going to hear from Thomas Tuchel. But give us a call, 03717 22 3344. We want to talk about the massive game live on talkSPORT. England-Mexico, 1 a.m. kickoff.
The Triunda match ball, Martin, the Adidas match ball, made for this year's World Cup, was made specifically for moments like this, because it has a microchip in it that can detect when the ball has been touched. Now, that's hard if you're Croatian.
Of course it is.
But the decision's right.
Yeah, we have to trust the technology. You know, the naked eye, though, might be telling you something else. It's very difficult to see any kind of touch on that. And this game, Jim, was giving everything. If you just sat and watched this game, amazing. One of the best games I've seen. I think Croatia, unrecognisable. Portugal don't look like they're going to go through, by the way, against Spain. They're just not going to happen now. But at the end of the day, I thought they were unlucky. But we trust the technology, but they were desperately painful to see that happen. We're surrounded by Croatian fans in the hotel that I was in last night, and they were consulate when it went against them, they were just gutted everywhere.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel fair, but obviously we trust the technology, and that's it.
Well, that's it, man. I mean, Simon, a lot of people will say, and they are saying it here, surely it goes against the spirit of the game. The spirit of the game. It was the faintest of touches. The sensor picks it up. The sneakometer's onto it. No goal.
Depends what you want, doesn't it? I mean, what is the spirit of the game? Is the spirit of the game simulation and diving and all kinds of things? Is that the spirit of the game? Is it constant griping and whining about referees' decisions? Is that the spirit of the game? I mean, I know that people say now because they're entrenched in a position, and I think that people.
We all know it. That moment when France were reduced to 10 men in the 2006 final. But Zinedine Zidane's World Cup story was so much more than those antics in Berlin. Despite a meteoric rise to prominence in the early 90s, Zidane wouldn't really start his World Cup career until 1998. See, France didn't even qualify for 94, so they had some making up to do on home soil. Ahead of the tournament, Zidane was flying. Back-to-back Serie A titles and Champions League finals with Juventus, but things didn't exactly go to plan. In France's second group game, he was shown one of these. I mean, we were so busy getting angry at Becks for his red, we didn't even realise Zidane was getting properly dug out in France for the 12 days before. The French public demanded he be kicked out of the squad and sent home, but manager Aimé Jacquet held firm and brought him back 2 games later. After his return, he'd start every game until the final, where he was quite simply brilliant. He scored not once, but twice, and this was the moment he'd been waiting for. There was national jubilation, and all was forgiven. He was even rewarded with a Ballon d'Or to cap off a near-perfect year. France won the Euros 2 years later, and so were red-hot favourites at the 2002 World Cup. But the table will tell you things did not go to plan. Now, come 2006, France, now captained by Zidane, are one of the favourites again, but they made hard work of it. They won just 1 game and finished second in their group, which meant they had to beat Spain, Brazil and Portugal en route to the final. Then, the moment we all remember. Zinedine, just leave it. Walk away. Zinedine, no! And that meant he became only the second player in history to be sent off twice in World Cups. France lost, but he still won the Golden Ball. As you can see, he was thrilled. Or furious. Zidane never played again, but across 3 tournaments his story had everything. Disgrace, glory, infamy. We don't like our heroes clean anyway, do we?
Final hour of the World Cup weekend breakfast show with me, Max Scott, and with me is former Millwall and Gillingham striker Tony Cascarino.
Good morning.
Canada became the first co-host to exit the 2026 World Cup as they were well beaten by Morocco in Houston.
Brahim Diaz, he's got players to his left and right. Brahimi! There it is! To settle it!
France beat Paraguay 1-0, but it wasn't without controversy.
Mbappe stutters right-footed and scores! Gill goes the wrong way! The red and white wall is finally breached!
And as we build up to the big one, England against Mexico, Thomas Tuchel says the squad are literally blocking out all the outside noise.
Players were not even aware that there was a possible change of kickoffs, and just this example just shows you to not lose your head. We cannot influence it.
Send us a text, tell us how you're feeling, 81089. We are going to be coming to your calls. Give us a bell, 0371722 3344. This is the World Cup weekend breakfast on England Day. Yes, it's almost here. England's quest for the World Cup continues in a high-pressure environment against the Mexicans.
Mexico is as big as it gets in the World Cup.
In the last 16, England will go to the Azteca.
Maybe one of the most beautiful fixtures that you can have, play against Mexico in the Azteca.
Viva Mexico! Jimenez makes the run into the area, and the glancing header is in! Fired in by Canoniers! Mexico have the first goal! Raul Jimenez again! It's time! Magnificent! Can you believe it?
This is one tough game. Level of toughness, this is a 9.9.
The altitude is going to be a big problem.
Their record there is unbelievable.
If you want to be world champions, you have to go through tough games.
We're better than the Mexicans. We're better than the Mexicans.
Jude Bellingham comes up trumps. Kane on the turn. Oh, what a goal!
When the going gets tough, they show up, and we will do this again.
By the way, loving that clip from Mike Bassett, England manager, in there.
Yeah.
We're better than the Mexicans. It's absolutely true. I know the altitude's going to be a problem, 20% less oxygen. I know that Mexico are a better side than we've faced so far. But we're England. It's not arrogance. We've got a great team and we should be able to beat them. And I'm pleased to say, joining us to give us a little bit of a lowdown is a true English hero, former Premier League boss, Neil Warnock. Good morning, Neil.
Hi, Neil.
Yeah, morning. Morning, Tony. Morning, Mike.
Neil, come on. Tell us how you're feeling from a manager's perspective going into this game and the decisions you think have got to get spot on.
I just think he knows what he wants. You know, like, I think he will play the wide lads. I heard somebody last night saying about leaving 3 or 4 of the main players out for an hour because of the altitude and all that. But you can't do that as a manager, Tony. You've got to play what you think is your best team. And I think he'll go with Gordon. And I think he might go with Mariuki again because he likes him. He works hard. And I think he's shown that Rashford and Saka coming on can turn a game or can contribute more in that final third of a game. So, the back line worries me. But we should, when you look at the midfield, Tony, I mean, we've got the best midfield in the whole competition. And I heard somebody, I can't remember who it was now, saying, we haven't got anybody making passes. Oh, it was Harry, about Glenn Hoddle and things like that. But Elliot Anderson's pass for that goal was unbelievable. He split it down the middle. He can do it. He's the one player that can do that.
I'm absolutely with you, and I'm glad to hear some positivity because it's been I think some of the reaction, Neil, was a little bit over the top after that win against DR Congo. We showed some mettle. Harry came with a world-class goal to win it. I think, this team, yes, might be defensively a bit weak, but it's a team that's got a good moment in them, a team that can change the game in a matter of minutes.
They're just horrible. It's like France last night. These games, you get them in every level that you're managing, and you just want to get in the dressing room with a win.
Yeah.
You're not bothered how you do it. You're not bothered if it's pretty. You're not bothered about what they're going to say. You just want that win and get on with the next round. And I think if they can beat Mexico, I don't think it'll be as easy as what you say. I don't. And I know we've got better players. If you look on paper, better players in every position. But you don't win games altogether on paper. You win games in an atmosphere some of them lads will never have experienced. And the older lads will have to help them out. And if they can last that first 25 minutes where they're getting used to the altitude, then I think they've got a great chance of progressing.
Yeah, and I think what you can say is England have got 2 or 3 really top players. We're talking about the elite in world football. And obviously Kane, Bellingham, I would even probably add in Rice in there. So I feel... Well, it's a golden opportunity. Who's got, if any team's got a forward with Harry Kane in it, you've always got a chance of getting some result.
You have. I mean, even I went gobsmacked with his second goal. I mean, Harry's there usually to head it in the back post like the first goal and tap one in and whack one in there straight. But the way he turned, I mean, he's just like a bottle of vintage wine, isn't he, Tony? He's getting better every year, isn't he?
He's
and he looks... The only thing that worries me is the back. Pickford don't worry me. I know people jumped on about he should have saved that. He's been as good as anything I've known him in my lifetime. And I like Pickford. So the others, the full-backs, I think he'll be hoping that, is it Quansah, sorry. I think if he can bring him back in, then it'll be interesting to see how he partners at the back. because I personally would bring John Stones in. I think that his experience for a game like this at that level. But it'll be, like you say, be interesting watching his selection.
Neil, I've got to ask you about Jed Spence. I'm a Forest fan, and we obviously took him on loan when you were at Borough. And there was lots of, he was great for us, but we know about sort of questions around sort of his attitude, his application in training. We had Jack Colback on, his former teammate last week, who was, saying as much. Are you surprised to see him starting for England in this World Cup?
I can't lie, can I? I mean, if you'd have told me when I had him at Middlesbrough that he'd play for England, I think you were in cuckoo land. And all credit to him. He went to Forest. I mean, Jed could do anything he wanted. But I think for England, he's great at going forward. But I think the weakness was when he was 1 against 1 in the last third, in his own last third. Then the people always seem to get past him and get a crossing or a shot. So I don't think he'll start him personally. I think he'll go for somebody else more defensive. But Jed's done brilliant to get in. Listen, when I let him go and he got his move to Tottenham, he put a big picture of me and a big fat cigar in his mouth, and as if that would worry me. I mean, I've had a lot of players have a go at me over the years, but listen, he's done brilliant. He can now say he's an England player, and that is unbelievable.
But we've seen, haven't we, Neil? Thomas Tuchel, whether it's in training, whether it's on the pitch in a World Cup game, barking orders at him, looking frustrated. And it seems bizarre to me that with the likes of Lewis Hall, even Trent Alexander-Arnold, that Tuchel maybe hasn't done his homework and hasn't heard your concerns and other managers' concerns about his attitude. And while I think there's been a bit of an overreaction about his performance levels, clearly there seems to be some questions that Tuchel still has over Jed Spence.
Yeah, but if you do your homework, he's as good as anything going forward.
Yeah.
Jed's done absolutely brilliant going forward. So, and you had the best of him at Forest.
Yeah.
He just went free. I think Tottenham, he struggled at Tottenham because I don't think the manager signed him.
No.
I think the upper hierarchy signed him as an English player then. Yeah. And so he didn't get much chance there. But it will be interesting tonight. I think he'll have to go a little bit more defensive, if I'm honest. So it'll be interesting to see whether it's Quansah or John Stones. I think one of those will end up there because I don't think he'll move our midfield three. I mean, they are the best three in the whole competition. I mean, Bellingham. Oh, Tony, I never tell you the story. When I forget, we were playing Birmingham, and I forget where I was now. He was 16 years old, Bellingham. And I said, I got a tough midfield player. And I said to him, "Oh, you've got a piece of cake tonight. Just sort this kid out. He's only 16. Give him a bit of that to start with, and you'll have no problem at all." And 90 minutes later, he never touched the ball, my lad. This Bellingham was absolutely world class at 16. I've never seen anything like it in the Championship.
I don't know. Neil, we had Harry on just now, and I asked him about where he's going to be watching the game, what's he going to be doing. He said he's going to be watching at home, having a cup of the tea and a few biscuits. What about you?
I'll be having a gin and tonic, me.
Yeah, that's more like it.
I mean, they all, And if we win, I might even have a cigar on balcony.
Well, send Jed a message with you having a cigar on the balcony, Neil.
Yeah, send him a picture with a big cigar in. Yeah, no, they all credit to him for getting at England.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I am looking. I don't know how you can. I don't know how. I did think just for a split second, I could tape it and get up early and not know the results. But it's not the same, is it, Tony? You've got to watch it there and then, haven't you?
Neil, one of my favourite things to do is to watch videos of your old team talks as Sheffield United boss. And I wonder, what would you be saying to the England boys heading into the Azteca for the first time since the Hand of God incident in '86, with 70-odd thousand mad Mexican fans to keel it up? What are you saying to the England boys before the game?
Well, I couldn't put it on talkSPORT video, I can tell you that now. I think you've just got to calm down. Before the game, I always used to have a couple of minutes before they went out. I just remind them how good they were, and just think about what they've got to do. They'll all have something that the manager's asked them to do. Just concentrate. Don't let the crowd direct you away from what we know is the right thing to do against your own opponent, and whether it's an individual case, or whether it's altogether, the set pieces, and just remind them about the defensive set pieces, and just enjoy the atmosphere. I mean, the World Cup in the Aztec, it's going to be an absolutely amazing atmosphere, and just relishing it. And people like, like I said, I mentioned John Stones, but people like him and Declan, they'll be winding them, And you said about that, all your age, the lads that watch my videos now, whenever I go down the street, you got to die for 3 points, Neil, and enjoy it by being disciplined.
It's brilliant.
So you just got to keep going, haven't you?
Yeah. Neil, absolute pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us. Thoroughly enjoyed that, mate, and enjoy your gin and tonic for kickoff.
Cheers, Neil.
Lads. Cheers, Tony.
Bye-bye.
That is the legend that is Neil Warnock, getting us warmed up and ready for what is going to be a massive night of football for England at the Azteca, as we know, at altitude, with the Mexicans absolutely loving it. Pick up the phone, 03717 223344. This part of the show now is all down to you. The phone lines are open. We want to hear from you about your thoughts ahead of what is a massive game. Are you on Neil Warnock's side and Harry Redknapp's side? You got a bit of confidence about you? Or are you dreading the altitude and what it's going to do to Thomas Tuchel's boys? Get in touch now, 03717 223344. We'll speak to you the other side of the break.
Likeability still favours Messi, not Ronaldo.
Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe that's due to appearance. Maybe that's image. Yeah. Maybe that's you feel that Messi. I mean, they both love the game, don't they? Immensely. I think Messi. Players. If you have a favourite, I think Messi for me is a better player, slightly better player. But there's not much between the two of them. You have to admire what Ronaldo.
But he's Messi's an unchallenging. He's a diminutive little goblin, isn't he? Whereas you've got this 6 foot Adonis of Ronaldo that challenges the way that people look at the world, and he's quite strong in his views. Obviously, he's been outspoken. He's had controversies in his life that Messi hasn't had. These unfounded but strong allegations made about him that have reverberated through the media, and he divides opinion in lots of ways. This argument, I think, it's a reductive argument about who's the better player. I just want to celebrate both players. They're both absolutely remarkable players, and every time you open your mouth, you listen to the social media trogs that spend their entire time being insulting about the fact that someone might think that Ronaldo's better than Messi. I make the case, and I don't know whether it's a good argument or not, and Martin can weigh in if he thinks it is that if you've played and won in every country that you've been in, whether it's Portugal, whether it's the UK, or the Premier League, whether it's the La Liga or Serie A and into Saudi as well, and being a standout player, I personally think that's a calling card for the reasons why you might be considered able to be the greatest player.
Just to go back to that, if you were to swap them over, if you were to put Ronaldo into the Argentina team, I don't think they'd be world champions. I think that's the difference. I think Messi,
based on what?
Based on the way that he connects with the team. Messi, everyone works for him. With Ronaldo, you don't get that same feeling in a Portugal shirt, and they've got massive talent around him. Look at the number of the players that are in there. Yeah. Great players.
Oh, yeah.
But Ronaldo, I think, he's older as well. He's 3 years older. Messi's still got that.
Get ready to get that winning feeling with talkSPORT Win. This summer, talkSPORT is bringing you live and official coverage of every game of the FIFA World Cup 2026. And to celebrate, we're giving away £26,000 guaranteed. Go to win.talksport.com to enter now, and you could win 26 grand in your hand, tax-free. Enter now, and you could be the next to get that winning feeling, courtesy of talkSPORT Win. Find out how to enter now at win.talksport.com.
Good morning, this is the World Cup Weekend Breakfast Show on talkSPORT, also live on YouTube and your smart TV. I'm Max Scott. I've got former Chelsea striker Tony Cascarino alongside me, and before the break we asked for your calls. Thankfully the phone lines are lighting up and we're going to head to them straight now. We want to get your thoughts on England tonight. First up, Jill. Morning, Jill. How you doing and how you feeling about tonight?
Hi, Jill.
Tony, how are you doing?
Yeah, we're doing well. We're getting revved up. We've had Redknapp. We've had Neil Warnock. We're getting ready for a big night. How are you feeling ahead of it? And what do you want to see Thomas Tuchel do in terms of his starting lineup?
Well, to be honest, I think we just need the positivity. Okay, the altitude and the atmosphere, they are what they are. And the opportunities we've got, the players have got the opportunity to play in an iconic stadium. You know, we've got the players. I mean, we've got Kane, we've got Bellingham, we've got Rice. We've taken 26 players with us. We've got them. They play in the Premier League. You know, I think we've just got to be a bit more positive, to be honest.
Yeah, and I would say, Jill, I think the players do. I think they do have that mindset because I think Thomas Tuchel's instilling that mindset in them. But the thing is, it's for the nation to feel that. And I would agree with you. It's a great opportunity to play at a historic stadium. And on paper, we should beat them, no?
Well, yeah. And I mean, you know, okay, Gordon, Rashford, you know, for me, probably play Gordon, bring Rashford on off the bench with the legs, you know, later on. And right back with James. Is he fit?
He's not fit, Jill. He's not fit. He didn't train. So who were you putting at right back if James isn't there?
He didn't train?
No.
Oh, okay.
I burst your bubble here, Jill.
Oh, come on, Max. I think I agree with Neil Warnock with Madueke, you know. I think he'll probably play him. And I think with Saka, again, on the bench, come off the bench, he's not fit. I'm not sure we should have taken him. With the back four, he'll decide the back four, and we just got to go with it, you know. Pickford's a slight worry, but, you know, it's a big stadium, the atmosphere. Pickford might want to show them who he is, you know.
Yeah. No.
And with the bit about the fans, I just wanted to say the bit about the fans and hotels, right, and outside the hotels. I used to work in hotels and look after teams, okay? They have a plan for that, where they put them in the rooms, and they also have blackout curtains. They have, you know, so let's not pick on things we can worry about.
Yeah, I agree, Jill.
You know, let's focus on the things that we've got that are positive. And all I say is I've got my bucket hat ready, I've got my horn ready, I've got my T-shirts ready. Vamos.
Absolutely, Jill. Love the call, love the positivity. Lee is a Spurs fan. Lee, how are you feeling about it tonight, bud?
Hi, Lee.
Hello there, how you doing, lads?
Yeah, we're good. Come on, Lee, tell us what your thoughts are going into tonight's game.
Right. This is my thoughts, right? The last game, I nearly had a mild heart attack. So this game, right, start, no backward, sideways passes, go out there, and let's try and get a 2-goal cushion this time, right? Get out there, play 4-4-2, totally flip the script, surprise everyone, like, oh my God, 4-4-2, that was back in the 80s we used to do that. Get out there, 4-4-2, Watkins and Kane up front, right? Say to Jude, play where you like. Play like you're out with your mates. go out there and have fun and do the business, yeah? And the two centre-backs, I would change one of them because they're both good players, but they're not leaders. They're not talkers. Every time I've seen them on screen, they're not talkers. I've never seen them shout at anyone. I've never seen them take control of the back four, telling people where to be. They're not leaders. Them players need a leader next to them so they can be told what to do. I'd get Stones back in now. I wish Maguire went, but he's not there.
Yeah, I agree, mate.
I'll get Stones back in there to be the leader and shout. You need a talker in the central defence. It's like a vice captain, John Terry style, a big voice, a big guy, being the leader, grabbing them by the shirt and saying, "What are you doing? Don't do that again. Get in there." Them two lads are too quiet. They're not talkers.
Lee, if you were doing the team talk before the game, 70,000 Mexicans. What, just before the game, what are you saying to the boys?
I am getting in the middle exactly 2 minutes before they get to go out, and I'll be shouting at them. I'll be saying, "You are England. We are England. We are also everyone's supporting you, boys. They want you to win. Go out there and be somebody. Nobody's in an England shirt at the minute. You've won nothing. 1966 was too long ago, and it was on home soil. Get out there and be the people that you want to be. Get out there and do the business." I'll be grabbing them by the shirt and saying, "Be somebody. Go out there and do the business. Go out there, boys, and do it for England."
Well done, Lee.
Love that.
I was going to say,
Come on then, the boys.
we got to have some calls in who you got to have their team talks.
Can you top that team talk from Lee? Absolutely brilliant stuff. 03717223344. Give us a call. Can you top Lee's passionate team talk? The vibes are flowing this morning. It's coming home. Shouldn't get beat near post, mate. He should not get beat near post. I'm not having it.
That football saying has been knocking around since I was a kid. Right? Why in that situation, there's no defender in front of him. He's had a touch, he's got his head up, he's got the goal to aim at. He can go that way, he can go this way. Pickford knows that. Stop saying he shouldn't get beat.
No, but, all right, okay, right.
Are you saying it's a crime?
No, he shouldn't get beat. He shouldn't get beat.
Why not? Why not?
Right, stand there. Right, we've got two posts here. Right, that's a goal. Right, please, for me.
What's the goal?
Well, there's the goal. You got a post there and you got a post there. All right, talkSPORT's the goal. All right.
So that's their post.
Yeah, you got.
That's their post.
Yeah, right. You got your Seaman shirt on. Right.
Okay.
Right. I'm the Congo player.
I'm set.
Well, no, you're not set because you're in the middle of the goal. You got to set. You're standing there.
Hold on. That's the post.
That's the near post.
I'm happy.
No, you're not happy.
I'm happy.
No, you're not happy.
What's that?
What do you mean? That's the back post. Don't worry about that. You don't need the mic. All right. People can hear you.
Where are you?
I'm here. I'm the Congo player. I've got the ball.
Get back a bit.
Right. I'm here.
Yeah.
You're standing in the middle of the goal for one. You're in the wrong place.
I'm happy.
No, you're not happy.
I'm happy.
You're not happy.
I'm happy.
Okay, well, I'll score near post.
Okay, but you can score there as well.
No, but that's not where you stand. You stand there.
I stand here.
No, you don't stand outside the post, do you? You stand next to the near post.
Okay.
I shouldn't score there.
Okay.
I should not score there.
Where's he going to score?
If he scores there, in the top corner.
No, forget top corner. Where's some top corner?
If he scores there, there's more space. It's a better strike. Yeah. It goes across the keeper.
Yeah, okay.
It's a good goal.
So what's wrong with that?
But that's not where Pickford's standing.
Well, he is.
He's not.
That's exactly where he stood.
He's not stood there.
No, I'm not having it, mate.
What do you mean you're not having it?
I'm not having it.
You don't get beaten in the near post.
It's a football saying which needs to be outlawed, right? In a 1v1
situation. Get beaten near post.
Stop saying it. What a goalkeeper can get beaten near post.
He can't.
He can't.
1
Half an hour of the World Cup weekend breakfast show. The callers are bringing the energy and bringing the vibes ahead of a massive game for England. 1 a.m. kickoff live on talkSPORT against Mexico. I'm your host, Max Scott. I've got Gillingham striker, former Gillingham striker, Tony Cascarino alongside me. But this is not all. We got loads to come on talkSPORT today. Here's what's coming up. From 10 a.m, up next, it's Max Rushton and Charlie Baker with the warm-up. Then you've got the World Cup weekender with Jamie O'Hara and Jason Cundy from 1 p.m. Can't wait for that one. And then talkSPORT Drive have landed in the USA. Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent with some huge guests from 4 p.m. Then 2 World Cup games to bring you with live commentary of the last 16. Natalie Sawyer presents Brazil-Norway from 7 p.m. And the greatest of all time, Adrian Durham, with the big one. Mexico versus England coverage starts at 11. But we're heading straight back to the phone lines. We want your England chat. We want your England team talks. Let's start with Archie, the Man United fan. Morning, Archie.
Archie.
Morning, guys. How are we doing?
Yeah, doing well, mate. Thanks to the callers calling up. Neil Warnock and Harry Redknapp. I'm properly revved up. How are you feeling? What do you want to see from Tuchel's side tonight?
Do you know what? I'm feeling a little bit optimistic. But my only problem is our defence. And I know everyone's talked about this altitude situation. I feel like our defence is way more of a worry than disaltitude. Disaltitude, yeah, it's going to be a disadvantage. But the lack of experience in that defence is the only thing that worries me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I look at the sort of selection Thomas Tuchel made. I wasn't having it, but he can't change it now. So in terms of your back four, though, who would you pick? Who do you want him to pick?
Do you know what? Just for the experience, and do you know what? I'm going to have my Man United head on right now. I would personally drop Rice into right back, and I would put Cobby in that centre midfield. I know he's had no minutes in situation, but I know what Tommy is on the ball. I would put Rice at right back. I would go with probably Mark Gay and John Stones, just because Stones is with that experience in the prior World Cup. And then obviously your left back Nico O'Reilly. But it's just the experience. You got to look at our last World Cup defence. You had your Walker, your Shaw, your Maguire. These boys have played many tournaments. You look at our defence now. There is not one bit of a tournament experience apart from John Stones. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a lot of question marks. Thomas Tuchel's got to get a majority of decisions right tonight to win.
Yeah,
he's got the players. He's got the players to do it. Get over the line. All I want to know is, I want to hear you. You're going to do a team talk for us.
Come on, Archie.
A team talk. Oh, do you know what? If I was in that changing room an hour before kickoff, I would go in there and say, boys, do you know what? We're England. We do not fear anybody this weekend. Yeah, Mexico. Look at them in the eye. Do you know what? I'm a United fan. I know Alex Ferguson's team talks have changed games. They want us to treble. So if I would, do you know what? I would get a bit of Alex Ferguson inside of me and I'd say, come on, boys. He's coming home. Think about it. Do you know what I mean?
Love it, Archie. Brilliant stuff. Channeling a bit of Alex Ferguson. And I'm sure he wouldn't rev up the English side. But I get your point, Archie. Great stuff. And the questions about the defence, I think, yes, they're going to be haunting England throughout this tournament. Lots of questions to be answered. We're heading now to Mark, the Arsenal fan. Mark, are you feeling the positivity from the callers so far?
Yeah, I am, yeah. But I'm not sure about John Stones.
What
he's not fit enough to play in an air-conditioned stadium. How's he going to play at altitude?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, his experience, I can see why that's a valid point. But equally, you know...
Missed so much football.
He's missed... Yeah,
so much football this year. He really has, yeah.
I would rely on Pickford to do the talking for that back four. To be honest, I know they're not talkers. Also, I would seriously think about putting Jed Spence up on the right wing.
Yeah,
because he's
maybe
the
further
quickest
forward.
player we got.
Yeah.
He can press and he can cross the ball. Because there's no end product with Madueke. As much as I love him, Arteta's had a whole season to get him to cross the ball to his man at the right time, and he can't do it.
So you're starting at right back. If you're putting Spence higher up, who's slotting into right back?
Quansah. Okay. And if it doesn't work, do what he done in the last game and stick Rice in there.
Yeah, fair enough.
Have you got a team talk, Mark?
Come on, Mark, give us a team talk.
I have.
Go on then.
What I would say to the lads is, the loose balls and the 50-50s, you win them, you win the game.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we've got the strongest bench. Our bench probably will do that first team. So run yourselves into the ground and they'll freshen it up.
But Mark, across the dressing room with the stadium bouncing and the rumble and the roar of the crowd, you can already feel it. And you look across the room at some of the youngsters and you've got, Nico O'Reilly's looking a little bit timid because he's about to go out into an absolute cauldron. What's your message to those nervous young England players?
I would say to them that it's the Azteca Stadium, lads, and a lot of people have made a lot of sacrifices to get there.
Yeah. Well, it's like quite an easy one. When you're a player, you're waiting, you're sitting there. Like I've been involved in many team talks, and sometimes it's short and sweet.
Yeah.
And you just make the points, and the points would be for me tonight would be just look. You've all earned the right to represent England. You've all been outstanding for your clubs. I've selected the best 26 players in the country to come and represent us. Now prove to me why I've called you up.
Exactly, like a fire under their belly. Bill's a Wolves fan. Great to have you on. Bill's representing the Midlands. Love to see it. How are you feeling about tonight, bud?
I don't like to be too overconfident, but in terms of results, we've done anything wrong, have we? The games haven't been very good, but that's football.
But we got it over the line, haven't we? Harry Kane last game got it over the line.
Exactly. My point when I rang up is we're scoring most of our goals, what I can see of it, from attacking and then crossing the ball. And the only guy we got in there has been banging them in is Harry Kane. And I think the last 20 minutes, quarter of an hour, we should bring Dan Burns on specifically for corners, free kicks, crosses, and he'll help and give us an advantage. We need another man on there who's going to try and get to that ball.
Well, you could use Ivan Toney instead of Dan Burn doing that role.
Yeah, good shout, no problem. But who are you going to take off for Ivan Toney? If you bring Dan Burns on, he can play right back, can he?
Yeah, but Bill, it depends how you're doing in the game. If you're behind and you desperately need a goal and you need to go slightly more direct and, create different problems, it's where you are in the game.
Yeah, it's the way we've been playing, though, as you know, Tony. We are looking for chances in the air, aren't we?
Yeah. Bill, what's your message to the England fans? What's your team talk at the start of the game before kick-off?
Well, I'm a real passionate sportsman. I love me rugby, love all the sports. I would say personally, like they've said, they've got the confidence. They should have confidence in themselves in Tuchel. And at the moment, this country could really do with a lift with everything that's going on elsewhere. And that's part of it. And if them boys keep doing what they're doing, they're going to make loads and loads of English people happy. But they also might make a few of our Celtic friends unhappy. And I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah, I like that. Great words, Bill. Love that. Bill, the Wolves fan. We're now heading over for even further north. Luke's a Liverpool fan. Luke, come on. How are you feeling about this one?
I'm absolutely buzzing for this tonight.
Yes, come on.
We've absolutely got this. We really have. All this altitude talk, you know what? We're going to go up that mountain, and then we're going to get through the other side of it. And when we go back down that mountain, that's when we come and collect that trophy.
Absolutely.
We've absolutely got this. Forget your chimichangas, forget your sombreros and your tequilas. It's about cold pipes, flat caps, and sausage rolls. Come on, England!
Yes, Luke, that's what we want to hear. That is what we want to hear. Brilliant stuff. That's all we need from him. The vibes are strong. We're getting a nation ready.
Flat hats, pipes, sausage rolls.
Absolutely brilliant stuff. We're preparing the nation. We're paving the way for an absolute belter of an evening. Everyone tomorrow morning is going to be absolutely shattered. Probably some of us going to be a little bit hungover when we roll into work. But this is what it's about. And I think that Bill, the Wolves caller, makes a really good point. Times are tough at the minute. Life is hard. It really is. And it's the time of year once every 4 years where you just realise just how much football means. And we know that anyway with the job we do, how much football means to people. But particularly when the country come together and England are playing. And this is what football's about, eliciting those emotions, these big moments up against it in terms of the altitude, in terms of essentially playing an away game. But I think sometimes, just sometimes, that brings the best out of England, and I'm looking forward to it, Cass. And I tell you what, I said 2-1 earlier on. I'm saying 4-1. 4-1 to the England. Harry Kane hat-trick, Jude Bellingham to help out as well. It's coming home. You share the confidence, Cass?
No, not so much as 4-1. I look, the first 20 minutes of the game is England have not played, they've not initially started well in any game for me so far, right? If they can get through that period and looking like a threat, I think that will surprise a little bit the Mexicans. England they've ended games well. They played the second half really well against Croatia, and they ended the game, obviously, against DR Congo really well.
Yeah.
If they can get the first part of the game, I think it'll all fall in place.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, if the boys get any sort of team talks that we've been getting from our amazing listeners and callers, then I reckon they will get off to a good start. Keep your calls coming in. We ain't stopping. We've got one more section, and we plan it to be all about you. Give us a call, 03717 223344.
Quick one on Portugal against Croatia. Portugal won 2-1 in the end. Ronaldo, of course, getting his first knockout goal with a penalty straight down the middle. What did you make of the controversial VAR decision?
Well, I think hair's very overrated, don't you, Gab? Very overrated.
I don't think you need it, mate.
No, exactly, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
but
both of you.
Who would have talked, don't mess with the borders?
So I've got the Mitchell brothers in here.
Well, don't you think, the marginal gains, that in future managers say to all the defenders, whatever, by the way, point. Get your head shaved.
That's a very good point.
It's nonsensical. Honestly, it is so ridiculous that we're talking about a hair follicle and you're talking about Snicko, right? VAR wasn't brought in for that. And when I don't know, you've probably seen it. When you're looking at it, right?
Hard to tell.
The ball doesn't change flight. The spin of the ball doesn't change whatsoever.
Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I agree with everything you've said. I agree with you. But here's my question: was it offside?
What, according to Snicko?
Well, according to the laws of football, was it offside?
Not really.
No, because we're not 100% sure that it's actually touched. You know what we're going to do now is, right...
I know, but it was offside, right? I agree with you, Perry. You won't get an argument from me.
Good.
Was it offside?
But because it's touched him.
How do you know it's touched it?
Because the microchip in the ball has told us that.
Yeah, right, so that's how mad that this is, that we're talking about. Everybody thinks you're talking about cricket, number one.
Yeah.
Right, with the Snicko, right?
Yeah.
That's not... Football is about emotions and losing your mind and celebrations and exalted moments with your friends, your family, aunties, and on the pitch as well. VAR was brought in for Thierry Henry's handball for France against Ireland. That.
Unashamedly getting absolutely revved up for the England tonight. None of this sort of namby-pamby, England are playing now. We're confident. We're confident against the Mexicans. And I tell you what, it's the callers have made me confident. We're heading to the phone lines just in a moment. But elsewhere outside the football, it is, of course, the British Grand Prix today. Here's Jeff Peters with everything you need to know before the race.
And 19-year-old Kimi Antonelli leads the Drivers' Championship. The Italian has won 5 of those 8 in what has been a quite remarkable season. He's ahead of his Mercedes teammate George Russell, who won on the opening weekend in Australia and then last Sunday in Austria. Lewis Hamilton is 3rd. He's aiming for a 10th win in the British Grand Prix. Last year's Silverstone winner Lando Norris is 4th in the driver standings, not where he'd hoped to be right now. And recently he spoke of his frustration to be reigning world champion and not really in a position to defend his title. As for today, Antonelli starts on pole with Ferrari's Charles Leclerc alongside him on the grid. Just behind them are the British pair of Hamilton and Russell. Norris starts in 6th. Isaac Hadjar and Max Verstappen in the Red Bulls are either side of Norris. And it's thought around 180,000 people will be there at Silverstone to watch as the drivers try and complete 190 miles, 52 laps, and the British Grand Prix is underway from 3 o'clock.
Brilliant stuff, Jeff. Thank you very much. He's going to keep you across the action throughout the day on talkSPORT. Reports from 3 p.m. at Silverstone. But time now to round up all the latest tournament action with Burger King.
The Breakfast Briefing on talkSPORT with Burger King Burger Buddies. Total tournament satisfaction delivered by the experts. Order now on the BK app.
Yeah, look, it's all about England, Mexico, and we're heading straight back to our incredible listeners. Darren's the Spurs fan. Darren, are you sharing the optimism that we've had so far?
I'm optimistic, but one thing I want to bring up is the point about altitude. If we suffer with altitude problems, that is down to preparation. Because in any other sport, they will prep themselves for, like in athletics, they will go to altitude and do altitude weather training. We should now have no excuses. We should have no excuses. We are good enough to when they play for their clubs, they need to play for their country, their family, their friends, and basically get off their backsides and do their job.
I'm sure that's what they're planning on doing.
The only thing I'd say, Darren, is like you say, the altitude is that, look, it's not the same all over, is it? Mexico's different from America, and different states in America are different from other places. So you have to try and time it all right so it all fits.
Yeah, but you should go to that. They knew they could be playing in Mexico. So if they are not fit enough to go and play there, that's preparation.
The only thing I'd say, Darren, is that because all their group games were in America, they obviously can't have their camp in Mexico, so they can't have their camp at altitude. No. And so it's difficult for them to prepare at altitude when they're based in America. And then you've got, only a few days turnaround. So I think their hands are tied. And maybe the main question should be, and Jamie O'Hara was saying this, wasn't he, on the Sports Bar, about whether it's fair that England are playing a side at such altitude. I think it's more that England are the victims of the fixture schedule and where the games are being played. I don't know if they could have prepared.
I don't see why they couldn't have, because they could have gone there before the World Cup started. They could have gone there for a week. Mm. It's other sports seem to do it.
Yeah, and Darren, can I just jump in here? Honestly, the amount of preparation that England would have done, there'd have been no stone unturned. Yeah. I promise you. It just wouldn't be. There's so much now. England have got as much finance involved in getting the team absolutely spot on.
Yeah, you don't look. They've got altitude tents. They don't need
enough staff members.
They don't need to go to altitude in order to prepare. But I sort of understand your point. We're going to Nigel, the Villa fan. Nigel, how are you feeling about it tonight?
Hello there. All right,
Nigel.
First-time caller, but been listening since 2000. Yeah, just tell you about my experiences about playing football in altitude.
Go on then.
In 2017, my best mate, Paul Fellows, persuaded me to trek across the Himalayas.
Wow.
And to trek to base camp of Everest.
Yeah.
Now, what it is, you used to stay at little villages as you went up, at a place called tea houses, and we stopped at this one village at 4,000 metres, a place called Tembuchi. Now, Tembuchi is where they've got the highest Buddhist monastery in the world, and so obviously we was pretty knackered from the trek. But when we got there, we noticed that there were some guys who were playing football. So we went over, and there happened to be Buddhist monks. So a few of us had a game of football with those Buddhist monks. Yeah, it was fabulous.
And what was it like playing at altitude?
What was it like? It was a bit tough, but obviously we've had a day's trekking at the time. But I mean, from a personal milestone, I mean, Paul crossed the ball 4 times, and just like Tony Cascarino, put the ball in the net.
Absolutely love it.
Have you got a few words on the team talk?
Yeah, come on, Nige, give us a team talk.
A team what, sorry?
A team talk, a little bit of a team talk. What are you going to say? Your final words before the team leave the dressing room.
Right, come on, boys. You can do it. You have history with you. You can put a spanner in there. Azteca Stadium works, and we can do it. Come on, you Lions.
Yeah, that's it. Love it, Nigel. Love the passion. Mark's a Spurs fan. Mark, are you confident of a big win for the England tonight?
No.
Oh dear, Mark.
No, I'm joking. When I woke up this morning, listen, I woke up this morning and I felt all the negativity. I was like, oh, the altitude, all this rubbish. We've got a rubbish defence, right back problems, whatever, right? And then I've sort of come around and thought, we're better than Mexico, surely. We can beat Mexico, surely.
I agree with you, Mark. I agree. What's your team talk? What's your message to the boys before they go out at the Azteca?
Right. Every team that's ever won a World Cup, they've had a world-class player, yeah?
Yeah.
So we've got Harry Kane, right? So just we shouldn't put all the pressure on Harry Kane. But what I'm saying is, well, and Jude Bellingham maybe, but what I'm saying is we're so much better than Mexico, and we should stop worrying and turn all this negativity into positivity. That's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely. What's your score prediction, Mark?
We're going to lose, probably. 1-0. I'm joking. 3-0.
Absolutely.
Come on, England.
Yes, Mark. Lovely call. Brilliant stuff. I tell you what, the callers have made this final 45 minutes an absolute belter.
Do you know what? When you can look at it, and we've heard a lot of the pessimistic views of, glass half empty instead of glass half full. I think England's chances are way more glass half full.
Yeah.
Just look at them and think, there's so many quality players in that squad.
Yeah.
And look, substitutes have made a big difference to teams. And the nations that are not as gifted or haven't got the depth in their squads have suffered. And England have got a lot of good players they can still bring on and change games.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think the callers have reminded us all of that there's a lot to be confident about despite all of the things that are going against England tonight. I mean, the texts that we've got through while we've been on the phone lines are absolutely unbelievable. Sorry that I've not been able to get to some of these, but people have sent in some of the most amazing team talks that they've written. I mean, Cass, this one's about... I mean, no, I can't read. It's too long.
Oh, it's too long.
This one's like a university thesis, but unbelievable passion. Thanks so much for all your texts. But we've got to have a quick word on some other big games coming up in the quarterfinals. Spain, Portugal, by the way.
Yeah, really looking forward to that. Portugal haven't got going at all, Max. Haven't got going at all, Portugal. I feel like is there a performance in there? Spain are a tough cookie. And they've got gradually better after the Cape Verde result.
Yeah.
They've really took... And Elizabeth up front has got goals for them. Yamel's come back into the team. So they look like they're more prepared now to take on the very best.
Are you back in Spain to win that game?
I think Spain will beat Portugal. I do feel that. Because Portugal have not shown anything like... we've talked about negativity towards England and some things that have been said. I think you can say way more against Portugal.
Absolutely. Now, finally, Cass, can I get a score prediction for the England game?
I'm going to go England 3-1.
See, it was 2-1 earlier, Cass. The positivity from the callers and hopefully from me has infected you, mate. You've given an extra goal.
I think they're capable of getting... If the game gets... And I keep thinking, if England can start this game well and end up getting the lead, Mexicans will chase. And because they'll just have to. They'll be caught up in the atmosphere, blah, blah, blah. And I think England can punish them.
Last thing, you said it right at the top of the show. There needs to be another player other than Kane or Bellingham that shows up in a big game like this. Who you putting your money on away from those two that's going to show up and come good for England tonight?
I think Rice or Elliot Anderson, one of them two, will do something.
Yeah.
I think from midfield areas, which has been, say, a little bit more prudent in the way they've played, but I wouldn't be surprised if one of them two step up with a free kick or something.
I back that. Right. England tonight. 11 p.m. coverage starts with Adrian Durham and the team. That was a look ahead to all the action, thanks to Burger King.
The Breakfast Briefing on talkSPORT with Burger King Burger Buddies. Iconic winners delivered in the box every time. Order now on the BK app.
And just to top off what's hopefully going to be a historic night for England, you've got the chance to win £26,000 tax-free cash. To celebrate the 2026 FIFA World Cup, we're giving away the big bucks. Fund your summer and enter right now. Head to talksportwin.com to enter. And for T's and C's, we're ready for tonight. England-Mexico, 11 p.m. coverage starts, 1 a.m. kickoff. Whatever you're doing, have an absolute belter, because this is going to be historic. Cass, the last month's been an absolute pleasure working with you on this show. Shabana Hearn's back next week, but more importantly, football's coming home. The warm-up's next.
It's coming home. It's coming. Football's coming home.
Wayne Rooney has just said that Thomas Tuchel should have brought Kyle Walker to this World Cup. That experience and the ability to play a right back rather than have to take Declan Rice out of midfield could have been useful.
I think a Kyle Walker and his pomp would drastically improve this team. I really do.
100%.
Stuart Pearce there and Adrian talking about Wayne Rooney's comments. Carl Walker's in the studio with us. Perfectly timed. What do you make of Wayne Rooney's comments there?
No, I think for Wayne to say that, it's flattering. I think a legend like that to say that about you, it obviously gives you a little bit of a pat on the back. But I still go back to the Trent scenario that, Trent is still